Welcome back to another FPL deadline stream, the first Saturday deadline stream of the season. So maybe there's going to be some newcomers here who haven't been able to attend on the Friday deadlines. And welcome aboard. I'm going to go through every single question and comment posed here today. That's going to be the aim, talking about all the key topics. And as discussed in the team selection video several days ago, I have made one free transfer, and that is Destiny Udogie in for Bulldog, who has a calf strain. But either way, calf strain or not, he is a big weakness of my team, and I wanted to target that Sheffield United fixture in Game Week 5, and then in Game Week 6 and 7 against Arsenal Liverpool, I'm quite happy to bench Destiny Udogie. But let's get straight into your questions as always. If you want to show support to the channel, then smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, put more comments as well in all my videos and also in the live chat, just to keep things going in the algorithm. And you can also support me on Patreon and on the channel memberships. All of those that have signed up are massively appreciated, and I'll be talking about all of you very soon. So thank you very much for all the support. And we're also around 400 subscribers away from 20,000, and the aim is to get to that milestone by the Tuesday deadline stream for UCL Fantasy. So if you are looking to play UCL Fantasy this year, then this is the channel to cover absolutely everything you need to know. The only place you can get every single deadline stream, best limitless team, wildcard videos, and also the team selection and much more. But let's get straight into your questions. We've already dallied enough. So welcome, Patrick. Good to see you here. Hi, Dylan. Worth doing Foden Jackson out for Alvarez Son for a -4 if I'm going to captain Son. Otherwise, I'm considering taking a punt on Maddison as captain this week. The thing is, as much as I like Alvarez and Son, I don't think I'd take Foden and Jackson out for a -4 hit. Jackson has the best non-penalty XGI of any player in the league, and I know Alvarez is probably a better long-term striker, but he just played in La Paz a few days ago. It would not surprise me if Alvarez was benched. I'm not saying he definitely will be, but there is a possibility there. And as for Foden, yes, it's true that Son has a better fixture this week and will probably outscore Foden, but what about next week and the week after when Son plays Arsenal and Liverpool? Those high lines might suit him, but you would argue his ceiling is lower compared to Foden facing the likes of Nottingham Forest. So I'd personally not do that for a -4, and if you want to captain a Spurs player, I think Maddison is more than good enough. Welcome, Sidindra. Good to see you as well. Hey, Dylan, got 2 free transfers. Which is the best transfer option? 1, Foden to Maddison and save the other transfer. 2, Foden and Jackson to Son and Alvarez. And 3, Foden and Jackson to Maddison and Alvarez / Awani. Look, they're all good transfer plans, but as I said to Patrick, I'm not so sure, even for 2 free transfers, if I would sell Jackson and Foden this week. So if I had to pick one transfer, it probably would be Foden to Maddison, but I also recognise that in the next 2 weeks, Foden might actually outscore Maddison due to the quality of fixtures, and Foden looks to be nailed on this season. The only time he missed out was when he had an illness against Sheffield United, but I do prefer Maddison in the long term. I do recognise that. With Heung-min Son, in regards to Patrick, I do like him playing down the middle, but that might not be something that's going to stick long term until the end of the season. It might just be kind of a shorter term thing. Welcome, JP. I'm good. What about you? Thank you very much for asking. Sell Bowen to Son for a -4. Now, this kind of move, despite Son facing Arsenal Liverpool up next, I think it is worth it, especially if you're looking to captain Son this week. And I think Son will still tick along nicely in the weeks to come. But if it was Foden, I'd say no, because I think Foden has a really high ceiling in the next couple of game weeks. Keep Watkins or sell to Awani. I'd keep Watkins. It looks like Crystal Palace will be without Mark Gay. That is a massive blow, and I think Aston Villa are the favourites to win that game anyway. They won last season 1-0 at the home ground, and I would probably keep Watkins, at least for this game week. I'd definitely give him one more opportunity. Ashish says, hey Dylan, want to play Saliba, Estupiñán and Akanji. It's a close one. I think Estupiñán overall is the best FPL asset, but I would go for Saliba based on clean sheet chances, and I know Arsenal have a terrible record at Goodison Park, but they are the heavy favourites to win this game and right up there in terms of clean sheet chances in Game Week 5. Welcome, Mario. Good to see you as well. JP says, would you ever add a score prediction segment? Visual aid would be good to hear your insight. Yeah, I've seen a few people suggest that, and I'll look to take that on board and try to include them into, if not streams, then maybe some videos as well. It definitely would be interesting. We can go back to my predictions, see how wrong I was. Maybe if I get the odd one right, we can maybe big that up. But yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, JP. I'll try to take that into account and make the streams even better. Abu Bakr Bar says, out of these 4 defenders, who do I play? Diaz, Udogie, Chilwell, Cash. Udogie has to play this week. It's as simple as that. It's tricky because all 4 of them look really solid this week. You know, it might sound crazy to say this, but I think the one I'd bench from those four is Chilwell. I know he's got a lot of attacking threat and you don't want to bench that, but I definitely would start a doggy and probably cash as well. And it's between Diaz and Chilwell afterwards. Now, you could argue that West Ham have a good chance of scoring against City. And if you think that's going to be the case, just stick with Chilwell because of the attacking threat. But I think Man City have a better chance of a clean sheet in Game Week 5 compared to Chelsea. Yep, that's all good, Bar. Let me know what you think of the feedback. Kunal says, hi Dylan, hope you're good. I am. Thank you very much for asking. Hopefully you are too. Ree says, hi Dylan, good to see you. Start two between Isak, Ferguson and Mbeumo. So Ferguson currently has a bit of a knock. That's why he withdrew from the Republic of Ireland squad. He was a massive blow to them. As for Isak, some Newcastle fans believe that Wilson will start, and especially with the Champions League coming up next week, it could be a case of Wilson starting against Brentford and Isak starting in the Champions League. So I'd probably go for Mbeumo there, and maybe Ferguson, but he is a doubt. He is a doubt, and that's going to be a concern, but I definitely would start Mbeumo from those three, that's for sure. Ario says, is Maddison in for Jota practical as Jota faces his former club? Yeah, there sometimes is this bit of, maybe not personal vendetta, but players that used to play for a certain club, they seem more motivated to score. The thing is with Jota, I actually think he could start this week, especially with Darwin Nunez being subbed off at halftime against Ecuador just several days ago. He had a bit of a tight muscle problem, and it's not anything serious, but there is a chance that he doesn't start this game as a precaution, and then he starts once again in the Europa League later on next week. Abubakar Ba, I think that's a good two, to be fair. I also agree. It's between Isak and Ferguson, really, but in Mbeumo I would start. Start one of Cash, Share, and Vardio. I'd go for Cash there. Nick says, hey Dylan, nice to be able to see you live again after all those Friday deadlines. Yeah, that's great to hear. And I actually like the Friday deadlines in a way. I'll be honest, if it wasn't for these deadline streams, I'd still be sleeping on a Saturday morning, and I'd just leave my team, and there you go. Kevin says, Dylan always dropping good content. Thank you, mate. Well done, please. My head literally aches. I have 2 free transfers, and my main problem is Onana, Kabore, and Watkins. I don't consider Mbeumo an issue. Watkins might appear to be an issue at the moment, but he faces a Crystal Palace side, potentially without Mark Gay, and I think that's a massive boost to him. I think Watkins will score this week. Of course, I might be a bit biased because I own him, but I think he's going to do well. As for Kabore, he is a bit of a concern, but I would keep him for now. He's cheap, and if he gets back into the side, you'd want to keep him ahead of double game week 7. And as for Onana, I completely agree. He's a big issue. I think Brighton will score, but the fixture's turning game week 6, and that's where I anticipate some clean sheets for Man United. So it might sound a bit boring or a bit passive, but I'd probably keep all of them for now, especially Watkins and Kabore, and then reassess in at least a week's time. Good morning to you as well, Marco. Singh says, hey Dylan, thoughts on starting Colwell over Estupinian? I get it because Colwell has a better chance of a clean sheet on paper, but I'd go for Estupinian in this case because I personally believe Bournemouth will score. Now, if it was Chilwell or Estupinian, I'd probably go for Chilwell simply because he's got the attacking threat as well and the better fixture. But in terms of Colwell, you're really relying on the clean sheet. But with Estupinian, you've got the assist threat, he can get the odd goal. You know, we all remember a lot of people benching him against Arsenal last season, even though he had a double game week, and he got a 17-pointer there against one of the best teams in the league. So Estupinian is capable of some great things. So I'd probably go for Estupinian personally, but it's not a bad idea to go for Colwell if you are backing Chelsea for the clean sheet. So apologies, I have missed quite a few messages. I'm going to try whiz through these and catch up. So hopefully you understand. Diaby or Eze, says Pavle. I would go for Diaby there. I like Eze, but I'd go for Diaby. Took a -4 to get Son in, says Lars. I regret it already. Saka and Saliba for Son and a doggy. Yeah, it is a tricky one. I think the Spurs duo is better this week, but I would favour the Arsenal duo in Game Week 6 in the North London derby. And then in Game Week 7, Liverpool host. I think they visit Liverpool. They visit Spurs. I'm not too sure about that -4 hit for the next 3 game weeks per se, but I like Udogie and Son overall. So it's not the worst in the world, but I think Saka and Saliba are good options this week against Bournemouth and even in these tougher games like Tottenham. Welcome, Safed. Good to see you. And thank you, John. I appreciate that. The longest standing member that we have on the channel. Always appreciated. Kevin says, thing is, I want to sell Watkins because I'll bench Kabore and Onana regardless, but do I really need to sell, and for who? I don't think you really need to sell, and just look at the alternatives. Awani, great fixture this week. I don't mind him at all, but the games afterwards aren't particularly great. Then you look at Alvarez, there is a chance that he is benched this week. He played a few days ago in the high altitude of La Paz, and I also think Champions League will play a big part in rotation for Man City. I'm not sure exactly how many games. I think they have 7 games in the next 24 days. That is obviously insane and probably going to be a good reason why Pep will rotate. Then you look at Darwin Nunez. He's currently got a bit of a tight muscle problem. I know Klopp said he's fine, but there is a chance he is benched in game week 5. So I'd be very concerned about all these other alternatives. There's not a clear standout at the moment. So I'd probably keep Watkins for at least one more week. That would be my advice. But if you want to sell him, you can. And any of those forwards I mentioned just now are still good options in the long term, but I would keep Watkins. Welcome, Genius Gamer. Mustafa says, thoughts on Maddison as captain? He is my vice. I am considering the captaincy, but I'm looking at it and I still think Haaland will at least match him, if not outscore. And because of that, I don't want to really risk it. I know it's a bit boring. Maybe one day I'll be more interesting. Welcome, Mona. All good. Hopefully you are too. Thank you, Safir. As he says, like the stream, it really helps us out. Our aim is to get this stream to over 150 likes, and if we can get to that very soon, then we can maybe push on towards 200 and more. So thank you for that. Vardiol, Estupinian, Henry, play 1, bench 2. Play 1. Oof. It's between Vardiol and Estupinian. I think Henry's the one to easily bench. I think City have a much better chance of a clean sheet than Brighton, but what Estupinian has is the attacking threat, which Vardiol doesn't really have in his locker. So I'm probably going to go for Vardiol for the clean sheet chances, but West Ham isn't an easy game. I just think Man City are that good that most games look easy for them. Marco says Martinelli, Saka out for Maddison. The thing is, they are facing Everton, and as bad as Martinelli has been in terms of FPL points, he is facing an Everton side that have conceded a buckload of chances, particularly down that right flank of Everton, which is where Martinelli operates on the left-hand side for Arsenal. So if I had to pick one, it would still be Martinelli out for Maddison, and I think it should pay off this week. But I also look at Martinelli against Tottenham, against Pedro Porro potentially. I think could do really well. And then you look at Bournemouth straight afterwards. So if you look at the next 3 games specifically, I would make a case to keep the Arsenal assets and maybe get Maddison in another time. But I can understand why you want to do it. And I also did something similar last week where I sold Rashford against Arsenal. He scored and it didn't really pay off per se. But it's a tricky one. If I had to pick one, it'd be Martinelli if you really want Maddison. Georgie says bench 1, Udogie, Chilwell, Gabriel and Akanji. I would bench Akanji, I think. It's really close. I have to say it's really close, but I'll start Udogie, best fixture, also a good chance of an attack and return or bonus points. Gabriel has a good fixture on paper, and he's also the best in terms of goal scoring chances of the lot. As for Chilwell, a lot of attacking threat, and Akanji, decent chance of a clean sheet, but probably the most benchable there. Son or Haaland captain? I'd go for Son if I had him. Guardiola's praise for Alvarez is very encouraging. Yes, that is true. And Alvarez is a machine. He just can't stop running. I really like him, and he's crucial for both Argentina and Man City. Hey Dylan, Gusto to Udogie. Yeah, I like that sort of move. Even though Udogie has bad fixtures in the next 2 after Game Week 5, I think that's a good transfer. Thank you for the super chat there, AMB. Thank you very much. You have sent in some before, and I really appreciate it. Captain Maddison and Haaland or Raheem? Well, Sterling has a great record against Bournemouth historically, but it has to be between Maddison and Haaland for me, and I'm currently going for Haaland. I just don't see much of a difference between Maddison and Haaland in Game Week 5, and as a result, I don't really want to risk it. But of course, Maddison has the better fixture. You could argue the higher ceiling because West Ham looked like a tougher cookie to crack than Sheffield United. So, really tricky one. If you look at the fixture, you base off that, then I think Maddison's a great shout. He just won Player of the Month. But Haaland is fixture proof. He scored a brace against West Ham last season at the London Stadium and also scored in the reverse fixture. But I'm currently going for Haaland. That would be my answer. But between the other two, if you want to go different, I think Maddison is the clear solution there. So thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And then, yeah, that also answers Ashish's question. Do you think Alvarez starts today? Start Morris or Alvarez? I discussed this all week. I think there is a chance that Alvarez is benched. Even before he started against Bolivia, I thought he would start in that game. And as a result, that could have consequences for Saturday. I think he will start, ultimately. I think he will, but there is a chance he's benched. I'm not going to, deny it. That's kind of my feeling throughout the whole week, but I'd probably give him the edge. The problem with Alvarez, though, is when the Champions League kicks in as well, inevitably he will be benched at some point. So if it's not this week, it could be the week after when he plays Forest, and that's not ideal. In terms of starting Morris or Alvarez, I'd probably go for Alvarez, but it's a close call. 2 free transfers, Odegaard to Maddison, Estupinian to Botman, or another defender. Odegaard has a great record against Everton, 3 goals in 5 games. He scored at Goodison Park 2 years ago, but I think that's a good transfer. Estupinian to Botman, I think Botman's a good long-term 4.5 million defender, but I like Estupinian still, despite the bad fixtures, because you can start him against Bournemouth and then bench him in some of these other more difficult games. I don't even mind starting him in Game Week 5 against Man United. Ashraf says, hey Dylan, what's your thoughts on removing Rashford and João Pedro for Son and Alvarez for a -4 hit? I have Bruno. I'm a bit more keen on this sort of move because you've already got Bruno, you're diversifying your attack. I think Rashford could do well this week against Brighton. He's really good against high lines. You saw it against Arsenal. He's got a great record against top 6 clubs. He's got a decent overall goal-scoring record against Brighton. So, yeah, I'm not really against that. I think João Pedro to Alvarez is also a good transfer. Once again, though, when the Champions League kicks in, I would expect rotation for Alvarez from time to time. But I think I'd lean towards yes in terms of that -4 hit. Son versus Haaland captain, I would go for Son. So, for those of you that don't know, in my recent videos, I kind of ranked the captaincy. I put Son first, Salah second, and Haaland third. Anton Villa says, hi Dylan, best option going forward, Jesus plus Archel, Alvarez plus Morris, cheers. I would go for Alvarez and Morris. You've got Morris covering double game week 7, good fixtures before and afterwards. And as for Alvarez, he's one of the best scoring FPL forwards so far this season. I think only Haaland has more points. With Jesus, I think he looked electric against Man United, but he's coming back from an injury. Arsenal play against PSV on Tuesday. They're going to rotate as well because they play Everton tomorrow on Sunday. They play PSV, and then a few days after they play Tottenham. So I'm a bit less keen on Jesus, and as much as Archer's a really good option at 4.5 million, as a duo, I think Alvarez and Morris is even better. Akash says, is Gusto going to start? Because I've heard that Reece James might start or not. Well, Reece James is coming back from an injury, so he might be eased into it. But I think Gusto will start. If I had to lean one way or the other, look, it's just a guess. It's not an informed opinion. I don't have any kind of leaks or anything like that. But my personal opinion would be that Gusto starts and Reece James will be eased back into things. Thank you, Safir. I appreciate that. And obviously, I do apologize if I haven't been able to get through questions. If I haven't answered your question, then pose it again. But just don't spam the chat and you'll be fine. Surendra says, Foden to Son and Watkins to Darwin for a -4. No. Like I said, Watkins is facing a Crystal Palace side without Gay, it looks like. And Darwin Núñez came off of an injury against Ecuador. It was a tight muscle problem, nothing serious, but it could be enough to start Jota or maybe Cody Gakpo up front against Wolves. And as for Foden to Son, I do like that transfer, but once again, look at next week when Son plays Arsenal and Foden plays Nottingham Forest. You know, it's a very difficult one to nail on, and then Foden has a better fixture as well in Game Week 7 compared to Son facing Liverpool. So it's looking good for this week, that transfer, but I'd be a bit concerned about Game Week 6 and 7. Overall, would I do Foden to Son? Probably, but Watkins to Darwin for a -4? Definitely not. Irish BVB says, hi Dylan, I have 2 free transfers, still have Gabriel, but don't know if I should get Trippier or Share/Botman. Your thoughts? Well, Trippier has the highest ceiling, but he hasn't justified his price tag for quite a long while, since January, I would argue. So I think between August to January last season, I think Trippier was essential. But afterwards, Newcastle didn't keep enough clean sheets. Trippier's attack and returns decreased, and all of a sudden, he didn't get the bonus points or the FPL points to justify, you know, that price tag at the time. And now he's 6.5 million. But with those fixtures turning for Newcastle soon, I would expect him to do well. The problem is, Newcastle have the group of death in the Champions League, and I might be playing this rotation thing a little bit too heavily, but it would not surprise me if in the odd Premier League game Trippier was benched for Livramento, who Newcastle spent a significant amount of money for, and let's not forget Livramento showed a lot of potential at Southampton. So if I had to pick a Newcastle defender right now, it would be Botman, simply because he's 4.5 million, easier to bench and rotate with the likes of Rico Henry, Udogie, and other defenders. But look, I'm not going to deny Trippier and Share are good FPL assets, but I would go for Botman right now. Everton always makes Arsenal struggle at Goodison Park. Does that mean Arsenal players are a risk? Look, in terms of... it really depends on your prediction, because historically, you're right. You know, in recent seasons, Arsenal have struggled there. 1 draw, 3 losses since Arsene Wenger left the club at Goodison Park. It's not good enough. Last season, Arsenal were flying, lost 1-0 to a struggling Everton with a new manager bounce. It looks like they have a new owner bounce heading into this game. But I still think Arsenal are the heavy favourites to win this. They should create chances and score goals, but it's really about, do Arsenal turn up? If they do, they have a great chance of winning, but they need to turn up and not underestimate Everton. Otherwise, they'll be in big trouble. Foden, Mbeumo to Son, says Bestie. I wouldn't sell Mbeumo. I know he faces Newcastle this week, but I'd keep him. Foden to Son, I'm a bit more open to that move. But once again, Foden plays Nottingham Forest next week, and you might want to reconsider that. But yeah, Foden to Son, based on Champions League rotation possibly, and I think Son is a great option if he plays down the middle. Twan says, hi Dylan, should I start Areola or Pickford? I wouldn't start Areola against Man City. Pickford is facing Arsenal, but I'd probably give Pickford the edge there, based on recent records against Arsenal, from Everton's perspective at Goodison Park, and I just don't see Areola keeping a clean sheet. So yeah, ideally I would sell one to another goalkeeper, and it would be Pickford, because Areola's cheaper. You can bench him most weeks, but this is the problem when you're looking to buy a goalkeeper right now. There's not a clear standout. I would put the likes of Flecken, you know, I'd put their name in the hat, Leno, Alisson, but I would not sell Pickford for a hit. I would not take a hit for a goalkeeper this week. If you can do it for free to one, I would do Pickford to either Alisson, Flecken, or Leno. Grinia says we have the same team. Only difference is Pickford for Onana and Vardiol for Saliba. Well, hopefully we both do well then, and then we'll see what our differences kind of end up doing, you know, what that will be the difference between us. Brad Walsh says, morning Dylan, the big debate of the weekend. What's your opinion, Captain Son or Haaland? Son for me. I discussed this in the best free hit team video. Heung-min Son has 2 goals and 3 assists in 4 Premier League games against Sheffield United. He has scored on both occasions in the home games. And look, Haaland also has a good record against West Ham, 3 goals and 2, and he scored a brace at the London Stadium. But I'd give Son the edge. If he's playing down the middle against Sheffield United, I think he'll score 1 or 2 goals. And as a midfielder, he's got that edge and advantage over Erling Haaland. So if it was me, it'd be Son first, Salah second, and Haaland third for the captaincy this week. Thanks, Sophia. I appreciate that. Should I sub out Vardiol for Saliba? I'd probably start Saliba, but the cynical Arsenal fan in me does recognise that, yeah, Saliba or Arsenal in general have a pretty bad record at Goodison Park, and it could play a part once again here tomorrow. But yeah, I'd go for Saliba. I'm going to be a bit more optimistic compared to the usual. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, the chat has been very busy today, so I appreciate it. And I do apologise if I haven't been able to answer every question, but we are going to eventually. Trust me on that. Shah Fitness says, hi Dylan, is it important to get Son this week? So is it important? Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely important to get one Spurs player at the very least, but it's not essential to get Heung-min Son per se. My 5-man midfield is Fernandes, Rashford, Maddison, Saka, and Mbeumo. 1 free transfer and 0.8 in hand. Please suggest. Well, if you really want to get Heung-min Son, I would sell United midfielder. I think that's quite clear. And I would rather keep Fernandes and sell Rashford based on their starts to the season. And I also think Fernandes has much better underlying numbers. So, yeah, if it was me, you really want Heung-min Son this week, Rashford to Son is probably the best case scenario. And he's also the most expensive, so it does leave you with a bit of money in the bank compared to the other moves. Start Gabriel or Stupinian, says Tunde. I'd go for Gabriel for the clean sheet chances. Yeah, Tuan, hopefully you got that. We did answer. Would you start Joao Pedro, Stupinian, or Mbeumo? Good question. It's between Mbeumo and Stupinian for me, and I'd probably go for Mbeumo. And you probably see it in my starting 11. I've benched Stupinian. He's first on my bench, and Mbeumo is in my starting 11. Thank you for the super chat there, Aaron. I appreciate it. And also to A and B, all the channel members and patrons. Start Stupinian or Cash, Turner or Flecken. I'd start Cash this week. I think Stupinian is better overall, but in this game week specifically, I'd go for Cash. And as for Turner or Flecken, I'd go for Turner because, yes, Vlaco Dimos, it looks like he's going to be the #1 goalkeeper. There is a report by The Athletic that already suggests that Nottingham Forest players see Vlaco Dimos as the #1 already. And I also think Turner the other day, I know people look too much into these sort of things, but Turner, I think, had a kid. Congratulations to him. But yeah, people were kind of thinking, you know, He looked a bit tired the other day, you know, stuff like that. You know how FPL managers are, they overthink things. But I'd start Turner. Worst case scenario, he doesn't start. And, you know, unless you're really unlucky and he comes on as a sub for a 1-pointer, you know, you're going to be fine. So I'd go for Turner over Flecken and I'd go for Cash. That would be my answer. Thank you, Aaron. Let me know what you're looking to do. But yeah, I think Cash and Turner is pretty solid. Turner or Onana thoughts? You can see on my starting 11 and the bench, I've got Onana benched and I've got Turner starting. But there is a chance that Turner doesn't start in Game Week 5, which is a shame because I think he's done a really good job for Nottingham Forest. It'd be very harsh for him to suddenly lose the #1 spot. But football's a cruel game. Jackson or Wissa, who to start? I'd go for Jackson based on the fixture. I do prefer Wissa overall, but I'd go for Jackson. And it wouldn't surprise me if Wissa was benched this week, actually. Could be a front two of Sharda and Mbumo, and Brentford switch to a 3-5-2. Rashford to Son, says Mats. I'd do so, yeah. I think I'd do it, especially if you've got Fernandes already. I think, yeah. Nasty Biscuit says, I'm on a wildcard. Should I pick Mbumo or Diaby? That's a great question. It really is. If you check out my best wildcard team video, I uploaded it maybe 5 days ago. I actually included both of them, unless I've got memory loss or something, and I've forgotten already, but I've included both of them. If I had to pick one, it's probably still Mbumo because he's on penalties and he's had a great start to the season, good underlying numbers, his form for both club and country has been exceptional. But Diaby's fixtures are better, that's for sure, and I think Aston Villa will do really well whenever they don't play a top team away from home. So yeah, I'd go for Mbumo just about, but ideally I'd have both. Start Mbumo or Awani? This week it'd be Awani. Twan says, hi Dylan, who to sell to buy a doggy? Let me just get your question up again. Let's see. Yeah, the chat's been very busy, so I do appreciate it. I'm going to whiz through these, I promise. So Henry, Stupinian, Chilwell, Akanji, and who to bench 1. So who would I bench from those you just mentioned? I mean, you could make a case that Stupinian is the one to sell, but I'd probably sell... Ooh, that's a really good question. I'd probably sell Rico Henry this week, and in terms of benching 1, possibly a Stupinian. Then start Doggy, Chilwell, and Akanji. And then when Chelsea's fixtures turn around game week 8 or 9, then you can sell Chilwell by then, but maybe you're going to wildcard regardless. Ara says, hey Dylan, which out of Richarlison or Trent to sell and for who? Well, Trent is ruled out for this week, just like Van Dijk, who got an extra game suspension. And as for Richarlison, he's seeing a psychologist, I think, so I'm not sure if he's even going to be in the squad. Alejo Velis, it looks like he's training with the first team for Spurs, and like I said, I think he's a top talent. Watch out for him. I've seen him for Rosario Central. I even saw him live in March. You know, kind of a traditional striker. But yeah, I think out of those two, I think Richarlison's the biggest sell because Trent could be fine by next week. It's not a major hamstring problem. It's a very minor one, so he shouldn't be out for too long. And yeah, I know the fixtures aren't great after Wolves for the next 2 or 3 game weeks, but after that, Liverpool have great fixtures long term. So yeah, Richarlison out, and you've got so many alternatives in the midfield. So yeah, that would be my answer. Henry to Botman, yep, good transfer. I do like Rico Henry though, especially in game week 6. But yeah, Henry to Botman's a good transfer in the long term, I'd say. Milner says, should I sell Trippier for Botman, Akanji, Vardiol, Diaz, or Baldock and go for cash? If I sell Baldock, I need 0.1 million for a City defender. I'm not sure if I'd sell Trippier. I know there's the possibility of the odd rotation with the Champions League coming along, but I'm not so sure if I'd sell Trippier now, because after Brentford, the fixtures look really good for Newcastle, and I'd expect Trippier, Botman, and all these players to do really well. So I'd only sell Trippier to Botman, for example, if you are going to make a big upgrade elsewhere and you think it's worth it. Otherwise, I just keep Trippier, to be honest. What about Jesus? I mentioned him earlier. He looked electric against Man United, but he's come back from an injury. And I also think with Arsenal facing Everton, PSV and Spurs all within a week, I think rotation is inevitable. And I don't see Jesus starting both Premier League games potentially. Jackson versus Alvarez. I actually prefer Jackson this week for a few reasons, such as the underlying numbers, the fixture, and also with Alvarez playing in Bolivia a few days ago. But overall, Alvarez is the better pick. I do recognise that. But for this week specifically, I'd keep Jackson. Thorson Eze, should I transfer him for someone? 1.1 million in the bank or roll? I like Eze, but I would probably consider transferring him out. I know it sounds a bit crazy because Palace's fixtures are getting better. but it really depends who you have already. So if you can do Eze to Maddison, for example, I'd be all over it. Thank you, Shah. I appreciate that, and it's good to know that you've found some value in it. Sukrit says, Estupinian, Pedro, and Eze. Pick one for this game week. It's between Estupinian and Eze, and I'd probably go for Eze. So Amon Kibet says, hello Dylan, I have Estupinian, Udogi, Chilwell, Baldock, and Henry. Who do I start, or do I do a cash transfer, and for who? 1 free transfer, 1.7 in the bank. Your defense is fine for this week. It might not be ideal with Chilwell. You know, you might not fancy him for the clean sheet. Estupinian facing United. Baldock has a potential injury. He's facing Tottenham anyway. And Henry facing Newcastle. But your defense still looks pretty good. If you had to make one transfer, it would be Baldock out. Definitely. I'd rather have the defensive depth and rotate between those 5 defenders. And to who? Good question. You've already got a Doggy, who's probably the best defender to buy this week, along with Pedro Porro. So, you know, you'd maybe consider Man City or Arsenal defender. So I'd say either Saliba or Akanji, potentially. Line Pedersen says, bench who? Jackson, Mbeumo, Diaby, Sterling. Oh, God, really? Probably Mbeumo based on the fixture, but I would argue he's the best option of the lot in general. Gabriel Estupinian, I'd go for Gabriel this week. Pakshal, sorry. Start 4 of Jackson, Mbeumo, Akanji, Chilwell, and Akanji. So basically bench 1, right? I would bench Akanji, I think. Well, you did mention Akanji twice, by the way, so let me know who the other player is. Roll Killer says, this is my final team. Leno, Cash, Adogi, Gusto, Diaby, Son captain, Madison vice, Salah, Mbeumo, Watkins, Haaland. It looks great for this week, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't trust Fulham defensively, but Leno's got the high save ceiling, and Luton Town haven't looked great so far this season. So if Fulham were ever to keep a clean sheet, it could be now. I like the team. It's looking great. Jay says, hey Dylan, do I get Maddison for Foden and use the only transfer which I have, or carry it over? Look, if I didn't have any Spurs coverage at all, I probably would do it. I'm not going to lie to you, but I just want to make people consider. This time next week, Foden plays Nottingham Forest, Maddison plays Arsenal. You'd much rather have Foden, and as a free game week block, when Maddison also plays Liverpool in game week 7, you might also reconsider that. So it just depends if you're a fixtures or form person. And Foden's been in great form, but I think Maddison's been even better, and everything goes through him in the Tottenham team. So I would do it personally, but just bear in mind that Foden is still a great asset. And the only reason I'm saying to do it is because Maddison's been so good. He's got Sheffield United now, and Foden could be rotated. And I'm saying could very likely because of the Champions League. It's all speculation, but Man City have 7 games in 24 days. Twan says, hi Dylan, should I sell Rashford for Son or Foden? I'd go to Son, but of course it's all contingent on Son playing down the middle. I think he will for the time being, especially with Richarlison, having personal issues. And also, I think with Son scoring a hat-trick in the last game, you're not going to just suddenly shift him back to the left. I think that'd be very strange. So yeah, Rashford to Son, especially if you have Bruno Fernandes already. Start Turner or Johnston. I'd go for Turner, but both of them are rotation risks. So be aware of that. It could be a concern, and maybe next week you're going to be looking to make a goalkeeper transfer, but I'd go for Turner. Roll Killer says my bench, Turner, Henry, Semenyo, Lamptey. It's all good for the time being. Is Vlachodimos in Benfica? No, Vlachodimos was sold from Benfica. And actually, Pavle, if you play UCL Fantasy, there's a goalkeeper who I believe is called Suarez. He is playing at the moment. He's only 4 million for Benfica, so you could look out for him in that fantasy game. But yeah, Vlachodimos was sold, and Benfica signed Trubin from Shakhtar Donetsk. So yeah, he is at Nottingham Forest now, and it looks like he could take Turner's spot. Welcome, Patrick. Is it worth a -4 to transfer Maddison in for Rashford and Saliba in for Gabriel? No. I think Gabriel will start. I know he's been very frustrating this season, but now is not the time to sell him, I think. And going from Gabriel to Saliba from -4, even if Gabriel is benched and Saliba starts, it's not necessarily worth it. You gain maybe maximum 2 or 3 points based on bonus points and clean sheet chances. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. As for Maddison in for Rashford, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Start 2 from Cash, Trippier, Mbeumo. Tough one. I'd go for Cash for sure, and then it's between Brentford and Newcastle. Really close one, but I'd probably go for Mbeumo. I think I'm going to go for Mbeumo this week. Leno versus Flecken or any other good goalkeeper to consider. I trust Brentford more defensively, and that's why I would prefer Flecken. But if you've got Areola, there is really good rotation between him and Leno. The problem is you're relying on West Ham and Fulham defensively, which isn't ideal. Patrick says, hi Dylan, who do I start, Vicario or Leno? Oh, Vicario. You could argue Leno will make more saves and maybe get more bonus points, but in terms of clean sheet chances, I think Spurs are probably #1 this week. Welcome, Ziofan. Good to see you as well. I will ask, keep Watkins or buy Awani? I actually like Awani a lot. He's been great since Gameweek 35 of last season, but I'd keep Watkins. One big thing to note is Crystal Palace will be without Mark Gay, their best defender, probably one of the best centre-backs in the league, arguably. So I'd keep Watkins. I think he's got a good chance of hauling this week. Should I do Foden to Son and Gabriel to Udogie? Yeah, I think overall that's a pretty good set of transfers. Just bear in mind, in the next two, Spurs play Arsenal and Liverpool, which isn't ideal. So if you've got the squad depth to cope with that, I think that's completely fine. I'm not saying to bench Son in those weeks, but Udogie, I'm probably looking to bench, actually. Mitoma or Maddison for a -4? Oh, I think Mitoma can do well this week. I actually talked about holding him in the Trans Tips video for at least the next 2 game weeks, facing United away and Bournemouth at home. As much as I like Maddison, I think I'd maybe keep Mitoma. The only exception to that is if you're looking to captain Maddison this week. So it really depends on the circumstance, but I'd probably keep Mitoma. Bench Gusto or Estupinian? I would bench Gusto and start Estupinian there. And yeah, I think, you're already saying it there. You're not sure about that double up on Chelsea defensively. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet. So I think the right answer is Estupinian. Should I sell Jackson and for who? I'd keep Jackson, to be honest. I think he's going to do well. Surely he's going to return over the next 4 game weeks. I might be a bit stubborn on that, but I genuinely think if he gets those shooting boots on, gets the confidence up, he's going to do pretty well over the next 4. Diaz or Mbuma to start? Diaz. Kanji will start, or should I bench him? I think he will start, but I can't guarantee you that with any Man City player, with the possible exception of Haaland. Jacob says, hey Dylan, Pedro to Alvarez, Jackson or Morris? Great question. As much as I back Jackson to do well over the next 4, I wouldn't necessarily buy him. He's more of a hold in this circumstance. So I'd look at Alvarez or Morris. Tricky one. Based on Champions League and possible rotation, playing in La Paz a few days ago, facing West Ham this week, I'd be tempted to say Morris from those 3. But that's really kind of a 3 or 4 game week purchase. Beyond that, I think Alvarez is the clear standout. Mitoma or Mbeumo? This week, Mitoma. Overall, Mbeumo. Mac Drac says, hi Dylan, sell Sterling or Foden or Rashford for Son, or Baldock to Udogie or roll the transfer. I wouldn't sell Sterling this week, and I'd rather keep Foden for now. So it would be Rashford out for Son if you were to make one transfer. Yeah, Baldock to Udogie looks great. I did the same move this week. So yeah, I think both of those look pretty good. It depends. If you've got Fernandes already, and you don't have any Spurs coverage offensively, then I'd go Rashford to Son. But it really depends on the circumstance. I think that or Baldock to Udogie is the best transfer by far. What do you think of Højlund as an asset? Very difficult to tell because, I've seen very little of him. But against Arsenal, he looked promising, had a good physical tussle with Gabriel Magalhaes, and I think last season he was pretty impressive for Atalanta. I think even if he doesn't get too many goals or assists, I think what he's going to do is link up very well with Bruno Fernandes and Rashford and give United another dimension to their attack. So I think he'll be very important to Man United and be a good signing. But in terms of FPL, I'm not so sure yet, to be quite honest with you. I need to see more. But my initial gut feeling is he can get between 10-15 Premier League goals and be a decent FPL asset. Thoughts on best captain besides Haaland? Well, in my opinion, Son and Salah are the best captains, followed by Haaland. So that would be my answer. And then after Haaland, it'd be Maddison. Gusto replacement for future 5 million budget. Then I'd go for Botman then. Weiseng. I think Botman's the answer. Udogie, Trippier, Botman, or cash for Colwill, Baldock. I prefer Botman right now. But, of course, I do recognise that Trippier has the bonus points potential, the assist threat, and he could be worth the extra millions in the weeks to come. But I'd go for Botman. And, or cash for Colwill, Baldock. So it's kind of a duo. I'd go for Udogie and Botman. I think that's my favourite. So I'm going to get back to your questions. I do promise. Ivy says Onana, Areola. I'd go for Onana this week. I just don't trust West Ham against Man City. I'm going to get back to your questions, but I want to show you a few different screens as we tend to do, just to keep things a bit fresh. And if you want, after the deadline is gone, I can go through my predictions and say what I think the scores are going to be, and we can laugh about how wrong I was maybe in a few days' time in the reaction stream. But let's go into the fixture difficulty rating according to Fantasy Football Hub. So Luton Town are top, mainly because of their double in Game Week 7. Burnley are second, same reason. Aston Villa, Newcastle and Bournemouth complete the top 5. You can see Liverpool also quite close to that. And in terms of the bottom 5, Sheffield United, Brighton, Man City, Brentford and Nottingham Forest all down there. So those of you looking to buy Alvarez or Awani, maybe something to consider, but I still think they're great FPL options. And in terms of predicted points, Haaland is top with 8.1, Son is second with 7, Salah and Maddison complete the top 4, Fernandes is 5th, Rashford, Saka, Jackson, Odegaard and Martinelli. So a lot of emphasis is placed here on Spurs, Man United and Arsenal. Not so sure about the Man United ones, but Fernandes and Rashford are top quality players and they've got a good chance, I think, against Brighton, even if United lose the game. And in terms of price changes, I'm going to refresh the page. This is FPLstatistics.co.uk, a free resource, and I find it to be by far the most reliable site in terms of predicting price drops and rises. So Maddison, Son, Romero, all projected to go up today. And also in terms of those going down, you've got Rico Lewis. I mean, the rest aren't really FPL options per se, so you're not really too surprised why they're going down in price. But this site is really, really good. I would expect this to change a little bit. There'll be more price rises and falls because in the next hour or so, there's going to be a lot of transfer activity. We've got an hour and 40 minutes left until the deadline, so keep putting your questions in. I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible, but I'm not a robot. I have to say that right now. Unfortunately, I'm not. And this website is Drafthound, which I also use. You can see it gives you a live kind of tracking of your rank on the left-hand side. You've got different tools once you upgrade to the Pro Tier membership. So here you'll have a transfer suggestion. And actually, I think in recent weeks, they give you up to 5 transfer suggestions, for different positions. And they did recommend the likes of a doggy in my team, which I already made. So thank you, Drafthound. And also in terms of the captaincy and vice captaincy, really close actually between Maddison and Haaland in terms of expected points on Drafthound. 7.8 for Haaland and 7.7 for James Maddison. And in terms of expected points, 68.9. So it looks pretty promising this week. And average ownership, 33%. Doesn't look great. But this is some of the kind of tools that I really recommend. Player rankings, you can see chance of scoring. Haaland's top, Son second, Salah third. Jackson is right up there, just for those of you that are looking to sell potentially. Something to consider at least. And it's not just that, not just chance of scoring. You've got chance of assisting. And then you can see Maddison, Son and Kulusevski are in the top 3. Then you've got chance of a brace, chance of a hat-trick, kind of these metrics that you don't really see in these stats websites, and I really like them. I'll put a link in the live chat, and you can also find one in the description down below. But yeah, even chance of a yellow card, something to consider. Based on Romero's record this season, he's not even anywhere near, but usually I'd probably put his name in the hat here. But there's so many different metrics you can kind of analyze here. You can check expected points for the next game week, also for the next 3. And I think it's really, really useful. And it's not just that. You've got the fixture analysis. You can see the FDR, chance of scoring 2+ goals. So kind of looking at the attack, chance of a clean sheet. So you look at the defense, of course, and you've got player comparison tools, which are also really handy. You've got Son versus Maddison, and I just think there's so many different tools that you can use for your FPL teams. You've got the predicted lineups here as well, and also the projected minutes. So all of this is very useful. Check out Drafthound. A link is in the description below. I thoroughly believe in this website, and it's been a great tool for me since using it in the summer. And one last thing I want to show you, and I discussed this in the team selection video, is how my team would look like in Game Week 6. And I would bench a Doggy and Saliba and start a back 3. So that's what I like about having this defensive depth now with the transfer of a Doggy in for Baldock. And of course, things could change, but things look really solid, I think, for Game Week 6 as well. Despite Maddison and Saka facing each other, that North London derby will be massive, but there should be goals in that game, and it should be an entertaining contest. I would consider selling Watkins by this stage, though, especially if he blanks once again against Crystal Palace. But I'll talk more about this in the reaction stream and the team selection video. And here we go. This is the stats comparison that might help a lot of you out. If you've got Salah and Son, which is probably very rare, and you can see the stats comparisons. All of them kind of lean towards Salah, but if I had to pick one this week, it would be Heung-min Son, and a lot of his chances, XG, came in his last game against Burnley, playing down the middle. But let me know in the comment section or in the live chat, who do you prefer for the captaincy? Son, Salah, Maddison, or Haaland? They're the top 4 for me this week, and I'd probably put Haaland third, Salah second, and Son first. Will Botman start? If so, should I start him over Estupinian? I think Botman will start. He's clear to play. He's recovered from his injury. In terms of starting him over Estupinian, I'm not so sure, because I think Newcastle will concede. And I could be wrong about that, of course, but I'd just favour the attacking threat of Estupinian. Name of the website you just see. The one I just showed now was Drafthound, and the one for the price rises and falls was FPL.Statistics.co.uk. So I'm going to put a link to Drafthound right now. Just bear with me for a second. Yeah, so that is the link for Drafthound. And using my link, you can become a Pro Tier member and you can gain access to all of those tools. So if you want, check it out for free first. And then if you like the look of it, then potentially upgrade to a Pro Pay Tier membership. But yeah, in terms of the price rises, that was FPLstatistics.co.uk. And the FDR predicted points I showed earlier was Fantasy Football Hub as well. Eze to Maddison or Foden to Son? I'd probably do Eze to Maddison from those two, mate. Thank you, Shah. I appreciate it. Awesome content and info. You will prosper, trust me. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words, and it's always good to see you on the streams. Price increase for Son before the deadline? No. So the way that price rises and falls work, they happen around 2 a.m. UK time. I think right now it's 2:30 a.m. UK time. So every single day, you know, there's the possibility of price rises and falls. There will be the odd day where there's nothing, but it's quite rare. And yeah, right now it's 2:30 a.m. UK time, and once the clocks change in the UK, it'll be 1:30 a.m. UK time when the changes happen. So there's not going to be any price falls or rises before the deadline. It would be tomorrow at that time that I just said. Lager says my midfield line is Saka, Mbeumo, Sterling, Foden, and Fernandes. Worth transfer one of them out for Son and Maddison. Potentially, if I had to pick one to sell, probably Foden at the moment, but it does sound crazy because he's the top assist in the Premier League right now. He's in great form. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it would be Foden to... I still prefer Maddison, to be honest, but I do recognise that Son playing down the middle has a better chance this week against Sheffield United. I have one free transfer and 3.7 million in the bank. Do we overlook Spurs' fixtures? Yeah, despite facing Arsenal and Liverpool, I think they still offer great value. With a doggy, though, I wouldn't start them against Arsenal and Liverpool, but the attackers, that's a different story. I think they're great options in any game week, but their ceiling will be lower against these tougher teams. Daryl says, want to bring in Son. Who do I take out? Rashford, Matoma, Bruno, Mbeumo, or Saka? Well, I think the clear standout there is one of the United attackers. I don't want to have that double up despite the fixtures turning in game week 6. So probably Rashford for me to Son. Milner says, should I do Baldock to Cash? And if so, who should he start over? My team is Vicario, Flecken, Chilwell, Cabore, Doggy, Trippier, Mbeumo. Yeah, so you're starting Chilwell, Udogie, and Trippier. Who do you start him over? Tricky question that. I think Wissa I'd bench this week from those lot. I'd potentially start Cash over... Well, to be honest, apart from Udogie, I'd start him over Trippier and Chilwell. And if I had to start one between Chilwell and Trippier, probably Chilwell. So I think Trippier, oddly enough, could be the one to bench, but you might not be of that same mindset. Will Alvarez start? I believe so, but there is a chance of rotation. You've got the Champions League in a few days' time. He played in La Paz a few days ago, so there are a few concerns. Thank you for the super chat there, Hassan. I appreciate it. Gabriel, Tarkovsky, Estupinian, Rashford, Saka, March, Foden, Salah, Haaland, Wissa. I have 2 subs and 0.4 million in the bank. My bench is Archer, Baldock, and Bayer. Also 2 subs or 2 transfers and 0.4 million in the bank. So your defense is looking good this week. I think Tarkovsky is the main concern. I think that's the big weakness there. The midfield looks good, even the attack as well. Oof. So if I had to make a transfer this week, it probably would be Tarkovsky out, and I would be looking at I still like Man City defenders despite the possibility of rotation. I think you could consider a Newcastle defender, so Trippier or Botman long term. Matty Cash looks good. So you've got plenty of options there. But if I had to pick one, it'd be Tarkowski to a doggy. And the other transfer would be... Good question. I think I'd go... As much as I like March and I think Brighton could score against Man United, even win the game potentially, I'd probably do March out as well. The problem is you don't have as many options to go to. I'm not sure if you can actually afford it with that team and set up, so that's a bit of a concern. But yeah, you know what? I'd do Tarkowski to a doggy and potentially Rashford. I know it sounds crazy, but I'd probably do Rashford to Maddison or Son. Completely up to you who you go for there. I prefer Maddison long term, but for this week, I think Son has a high ceiling. So yeah, I bring in 2 Spurs players potentially, at least one for sure. And I think that would improve your team even more. So let me know, Hassan, what you end up doing, and we can keep track of your process. Yeah, I got more facial hair. It's not necessarily a good thing. Ideally, it'd be like GTA where you can just select to basically change it at will. Unfortunately, I can't do that. Jarvis says, start Cash or Saliba. I'd start Cash. Should I bring in Salah or Son for Rashford for a -4? As much as I like Salah and Son, I'd only do that for a -4 if you're looking to captain them this week. I like Salah a lot long term, but the fixtures after this aren't necessarily great. You know, West Ham after Wolves, and then you got Tottenham away, and I think it's Brighton shortly after that. Yeah. Maybe I'd go for Son this week, but it's all dependent on him continuing to play down the middle, really. So, yeah, I'm not so sure about doing a -4 hit for that, to be honest. Hassan says, that's my thinking. Fair enough. Yeah, I think getting in 2 Spurs players, the only problem is they do play Arsenal and Liverpool straight afterwards, and with a doggy especially, you'd want to bench him. So I'd do those 2 transfers this week, and then next week look to bolster your defence yet again, and maybe for, I think it was Bayer, or maybe not Bayer, but maybe for Baldock, I'd sell him to Botman, for example. I think you have enough money to do that. So yeah, and then you can bench a doggy next week, and you'll have a good defense for this week and in game week 6. So hopefully that works for you, Hassan. And if you're not making the transfers, all the best of luck, even though I don't necessarily want Spurs to do well, but good luck to you. Haaland or Maddison captain? I'm going for Haaland. So we'll go back to my team now. And like I said, my only transfer this week was a doggy in for Baldock. And my current captain is Haaland, boring, and Maddison is my vice. Thank you, Jarvis. I appreciate it. Salah or Maddison? In terms of what, though? In terms of having in the long term, I'd say Maddison because he's cheaper, very good value for money. But for captaincy, I'd go for Salah. Jalen says, sell Saliba or Estupinian to a doggy or Newcastle defender. Sell Saliba or Estupinian to a doggy. Well, this week, I'd rather sell Estupinian. I think Saliba has a better chance of a clean sheet. He's also got Bournemouth in a few game weeks' time. Estupinian has Bournemouth next week at home, but afterwards, you know, he faces Man City in game week 9. He's still got Aston Villa away very soon. So the fixtures are really tough. And yeah, in terms of Newcastle defender or a doggy, Newcastle are better fixtures overall, but I think a doggy is a better FPL option at the moment. So if I had to do one transfer, it'd be Estupinian to a doggy, but you might be kicking yourself in game week 6 when Estupinian plays Bournemouth at home. That's all I'm going to say. Which one to start, Trippier, Henry, or Vardiol? Henry's the one to bench that week, this week, sorry. So it's between Trippier and Vardiol. I would start... I'm actually going to go for Vardiol. Problems with that, risk of rotation, tough fixture, but I think Man City have a good chance of a clean sheet. Do you think João Pedro will start? There is a chance, actually, because you've got Welbeck with an injury. Not a big concern. He shouldn't be out for too long, but he could be out for this weekend. You've got Ferguson also nursing a problem. So, yeah, I think João Pedro has a good chance. But I can see why you're doing that. He's on penalties. I think Man United away, you could argue Brighton have a better chance of winning than Brentford do at Newcastle. So, yeah, it's not the worst idea in the world, but I'd personally start on Boomer. Should I sell Gabriel? I don't think I would at this point. I'd probably keep him for now. OK says, bring in one of Awani, Isak or Wilson. The problem with Isak and Wilson is rotation. As I said earlier, there are a few Newcastle fans who believe Isak will start in the Champions League. And Wilson will start this week against Brentford, so that could be a concern. I think if you want a 1 week punt, I'd go for Awani against Burnley. If you had Son, would you captain him? Yes. Son would be my first captain choice, then it'd be Salah, then Haaland, and then it's Maddison. Harry says, Saka to Maddison from midfield of Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Maddison, Foden and Sterling. I'm not sure if I'd sell Saka this week, to be honest. I know there are rumours of him having an Achilles problem. He's been nursing it for several months, but he's fine, as Arteta said, and he's still got Everton away, Tottenham at home, and Bournemouth away. Better fixtures than Maddison over the next 3. As much as I like Maddison, I'm not sure if I'd sell Saka. I'd rather sell a Man United midfielder, so Rashford, I think. What about Pedro to Højlund? Yeah, not a bad shout. Not a bad shout. I think Højlund might blank this week, but afterwards, with the fixtures turning, you know, good chance of returning against Burnley in Gameweek 6. Good fixtures after that as well. So, yeah, I'm quite open to that. You know, you're being ahead of the curve there. The problem is, if you've got Bruno Fernandes or Rashford already, I'm not that keen on a double up in United offensively. Trippier or Cash? This week, Cash. Zaid says start 2, Matoma, Colwill and Mbumo. I would go for Matoma and Mbumo. Feel like Matoma will blank plus Fatty debut, but I want to back the attacker over Colwill. I'd personally go for Matoma and Mbumo. With the amount of injuries that Man United have, with Brighton's form, I would give Brighton maybe not the edge in that game, but I think they will score. You know, I'd be very surprised if United kept the clean sheet there. And I think Matoma has a good chance of returning over the next 2 game weeks. So, yeah, I'd do Matoma and Mbumo. I think Chelsea will concede. Should I keep Foden or bring Diaby for Foden? I like Diaby, but I'd keep Foden. He faces Forest next week, and the only concern I'd have with Foden is rotation, as always. Bruno or Rashford for Son? I'd keep Bruno and sell Rashford, but that's a personal take. Alisson against Wolves? Yep. You know, if I were to bring a goalkeeper of any price, I think Alisson's the one. Awani or Wissa? Awani this week. Start Estupinian or Henry, says Findo Gaming. Estupinian. Start Gusto, Estupinian or Saliba? Saliba. MF says, one reason I would start Joao over Mbumo is that I have to play a Newcastle defender. In that case, fair enough, I'd go for Joao Pedro. Who do you think is better, Rashford or Bruno? Bruno. I think Rashford is still good, and depending on the opposition, like maybe Burnley and Brighton, he might be better suited to those teams, but I think longer term, Bruno's the one. Any thoughts on Sterling to replace Grealish? Yeah, I think Grealish isn't really an FPL option at the moment, and I never really liked him from that perspective, only at one point when he was at Aston Villa. So yeah, I think Sterling is still a decent transfer in, but there are better alternatives like Maddison, Arsenal midfielders like Saka. So it just really depends, but yeah, I think Sterling's still a good transfer in and an upgrade on Grealish. Vishal says Richarlison and Jackson to Isak and Diaby. I wouldn't sell Jackson this week, to be honest. And also with Isak, I like him long term, but there is a chance he's benched this week. As for Diaby, yeah, I think he's a good transfer. Richarlison to Diaby, spot on. I think that's a fantastic transfer. But Jackson to Isak, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not too sure about that move this week. And start Akanji or Estupinian. Akanji has a better chance of a clean sheet, but I'd probably just go for the attacking threat of Estupinian. Who to replace Baldock with? 6.2 million in the bank. Sorry, I was going to say Awani. Udogi, if you've got the money. If you don't have him already, Udogi for me. Mahmood says, I have Akanji and Wissa, and I'm not sure who will start. So I'm confused about who I should bench. Yeah, I get that. I think Wissa is normally the one you'd start, but I think this week I'd probably go for Akanji. Kind of just a gut feeling as well. Awani or Wissa? Awani. As I said earlier, there is a chance that Wissa is benched this week. Team to target in UCL Fantasy. I'll talk more about this in the Tuesday deadline stream and also in the upcoming UCL Fantasy videos. But off the top of my head, Man City, of course, a double or triple up is definitely advisable. I think Barcelona as well. I think at least having a double up there to target that Antwerp fixture. And after that, I'd say Bayern Munich still. It's quite difficult because you've got Napoli and Madrid. I like them, but they face each other in match day 2. But we'll talk more about this in the deadline stream. Rashford to Son. Yeah, I like that, especially if you have Fernandes already. Who to replace Baldock with? We've covered. Is it that crucial to get a doggy in if the next 2 fixtures are Arsenal-Liverpool? No. That's the simple answer. The reason why I did it is because I've got the squad depth and the defensive numbers to kind of rotate. So this week I'll start a doggy, boost my chance of clean sheets and also points. and then next week I can bench him and start Henry, Estupinian and Saliba. So I'm quite happy. Not even Saliba, sorry. I'd probably start Chilwell. So yeah, it's not that crucial. Maddison as captain. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. He's probably 4th in my list this week behind Haaland, Salah and Son. 25,000th in the world. That's really good. But yeah, I don't mind Maddison as captain. Let's see what else we have. Oh my god, I'm really far behind. So Christian says, why is everyone transferring out Foden? Yeah, I kind of made this point a lot of times in this video. Yes, he plays West Ham this week, but City have a great record against the Hammers, and also they face Forest next week. The only concern with Foden is rotation with the Champions League coming along. Who to bring in for goalkeeper for long term? I'd say Alisson if you can. So Alisson, Flecken, Leno would be up there. Yeah, Ederson will keep clean sheets, but I just don't like his ceiling. Not many saves, and yeah, fair enough. He's kind of a nailed-on way of getting a Man City defensive coverage, but I'd rather go for Alisson. Dylan, start Archer or Diaz? Diaz. I wouldn't start Archer against Tottenham. He could score, but I'd go for Diaz. Gravenberch start says, oh, Shankly. Okay, we'll have a look. I'll try to see if I can see any kind of, league lineups and stuff. Bench, Mbeumo, Watkins, Bruno Fernandes or Foden. Not ideal this week, but probably Mbeumo. It just sounds crazy because he is the best at the moment in terms of FPL assets from those you mentioned. Hi, is it worth Bruno to some? This week, yes, but I do like Bruno Fernandes long term, and I'm not so sure if that's a great transfer over the next 3 per se. Free to start out Saliba, Cash, Doggy and Estupinian. I would bench Estupinian basically, yeah. Dylan, is Foden and Jackson to Son and Alvarez worth it? It's tricky. Once again, I'm not so sure about selling Jackson this week, and even with Foden, he plays Nottingham Forest next week, so it's really tricky. Overall, I think Son and Alvarez is a better duo, but it's all a question of timing as well. Or just Foden to Maddison, got 2 free transfers. Yeah, fair enough. I think Foden to Maddison would be my preference of the two, but yeah, look, Jackson to Alvarez isn't a horrible transfer, for sure. And because you're selling Foden, you might want to still have another City attacker to couple and partner alongside Haaland, so it's not really the worst transfer in the world. But yeah, if I had to pick, it'd be Foden to Maddison. Thank you, Mahmood. Fernandes, Saka or Maddison on wildcard? Maddison. The thing is, the fixtures for Spurs are the worst of those 3 teams over the next 3, but Maddison's a great long-term hold. Sell Eze for Maddison, Diaby or Matoma. Probably Maddison. I think Matoma's at the bottom of that list because the fixtures are still terrible over the next 4. Good morning, Goldhead. Start Colwell for Akanji, Estupinian, already starting Gusto, or not start Gusto at all? I'd probably just start Akanji, Estupinian and Gusto Hill. I think that's fine. I wouldn't double up on Chelsea defensively. Vlaco Dimas to start over Turner for Nottingham Forest. I believe so, but I'm just starting Turner in case he gets the nod. It's a shame because I don't want a Nana delivering 3 0-pointers in a row for me. Thorson Martinelli to Son. It's a good transfer. It should pay off, but Martinelli is facing Everton, who concede a lot of chances down their right flank where Martinelli operates, and I also think Martinelli could do extremely well against Pedro Porro in Game Week 6 and also in Game Week 7 facing Bournemouth away. So, yeah, I think Martinelli will do well over the next 3 game weeks, but Son playing down the middle should be even better. Sam Childs says 1 free transfer, Rico Henry to Vardiol and or Whistle to Gabriel Jesus. It'd be Rico Henry to Vardiol. Hey Dylan, would you do a free transfer Martinelli to Maddison? Yes, but I have to say I think Martinelli will do well over the next 3. And the fixtures and the opponents he's up against might suit him a lot. The Fantasy Football Lad says Turner, Johnston, Chilwell, Doggy, Saliba, Stupinian, Baldock, Mbeumo, Foden, Saka, Fernandes, Rashford, Haaland, Watkins, Archer have 2 free transfers and 0.6 million in the bank. What would you do? I think your goalkeeper, your goalkeepers are a concern. It looks like Vlaco Dimos will be number 1. Johnston could be usurped by Dean Henderson eventually. Your defense is fine for now. I think Baldock is the one to sell there. As for your midfield, I would maybe go away from double United attack. So what I would do is Rashford out to either Son or Maddison, and I prefer Maddison overall. And the other transfer would be either Baldock to, let's say, a Man City defender, or I'd do Johnston out for either Flecken, Leno or Alisson if you've got the funds. So let's say, for example, you do Rashford to Maddison, then I would look to do Johnston to Alisson, and I think that would be a really good set of transfers for you. So let me know what you're looking to do there. Bring in a Doggy, Botman or Walker. If you've got the defensive depth, go for a doggy. Start him this week, great chance of points. You can bench him in the next 2 weeks and then start him in the weeks afterwards. If you want kind of a longer term pick, then I think Botman or Walker is certainly the one with the fixtures in mind. But yeah, I think based on fixtures, it's Botman. And if you've got the defensive depth, I'd go for a doggy, which is what I've done. Gabriel or Stupinian, who to start? Gabriel. Can I captain Salah? Of course you can. Or should I play it safe and captain Haaland? I'd actually rank Salah above Haaland this week. Just bear in mind that Salah hasn't scored at Molineux since his first meeting there back in the 2017-18 season. Best Newcastle defenders right now is Botman, Trippier and Schär in that order. Son or Maddison for Rashford or Foden. I've got no Bruno. I prefer Maddison, but Son is playing down the middle, and if he continues to do so, he's got a great chance of getting more braces, even more hat-tricks in the future. I'd rather sell Rashford instead of Foden. The only possibility of me reconsidering that in a week's time is if Foden is benched and he becomes a rotation risk, as he tends to be. Thank you, Adash. I appreciate that. As he says, be sure to like the stream. We've answered hundreds, maybe thousands of questions, not just today, but also throughout all of the streams we've done for FPL News Your Fantasy. So let's try to get this stream to over 100 likes. We're very close to that. And if you haven't subscribed already, then please consider doing that. Sorry, I'm trembling on my words. I'm so nervous. But we're literally around 400 subscribers away from 20,000, and I think with all the UCL fantasy traction we're going to get over the next few days with the team selection video and the deadline stream, I think 20,000 is achievable by Tuesday. So let's keep on pushing and trying to get to that goal. And also a huge shout out goes to those who send in super chats like Hassan, A and B, and everyone else, and also the patrons and channel members. You're massively appreciated. I actually want to give a quick shout out to them right now. So thank you to John, the longest standing member for almost 2 years. Massively appreciated. Also Aman, who's been a channel member for a year now. So thank you very much. Same with Okay, George, Alex, Matt, Gabriel, Bestie, Julio Peña, and Farhad, all members for a year. And you've also got Not Hamra, also very close to being a channel member for a year. Same with Diego, Rupstars, De Grey Aditya, Eric, also Ananda, Sergi, Ventislav, That Air, Birkan, Abhishek, Kat, and Milner, who is the recent channel member. I've actually included and created some new badges and emojis to use as a channel member, so be sure to check it out. If you are a member, make sure to use them because there are some pretty good ones in there. If you've got any suggestions for new ones, then let me know because I do like creating them, I have to say. And I also want to shout out to Lovro and Keith, the patrons as well. And Keith is also a channel member, so massive shout out goes to you and all the massive support. I sound like Sean Connery. Support you've shown to the channel, so thank you very much for that. And I have to say, your contributions go a long way to growing this channel. Thank you, MJ. I appreciate it. And thank you, Abo. And obviously, there might be some more good wishes from others as well. I do apologize if I've missed them. It's certainly not my intention. MJ says, Bowen out for Rashford or Son. I'd rather go to Son. Despite facing Arsenal Liverpool in Game Week 6 and 7, I think Son is more desirable than Rashford, especially if he continues to play down the middle, which I believe he will do. I'd go for Botman. I think Burn is more subject to rotation, and yeah, with Burn, I think he's a big weak link in the Newcastle defence. Door of Fear says, hey Dylan, should I stay with Mitoma and Watkins and roll my transfer? Transfer out Mitoma to Mbeumo or Watkins to Jesus? Look, Jesus could be really good in specific game weeks, but overall, I think Watkins will outscore him. And the thing with Watkins is he faces Crystal Palace without Mark Gay, and I think that's a massive blow to Crystal Palace. So despite their great underlying numbers defensively since Roy Hodgson took over, I have to say, I think Crystal Palace are there for the taking this week. As for Mitoma, for the next 2 game weeks, it looks good against Man United and Bournemouth. The only concern is Europa League because they face AEK Athens on Thursday, so there could be rotation there with Ansu Fati coming in. But yeah, I think Mitoma's the one I'd rather sell from the 2 at the moment. And if you can do Mitoma to Maddison, perfect, I'd do that. But I'd be very conscious of, who you sell this week because Mitoma against United, it's not the worst, it's not the worst move in the world, not the worst player to start. Thank you, Hassan, for the super chat. Much appreciated, mate. Who is the best captain option, Salah, Maddison, or Haaland? So the way I've ranked it is Heung-min Son first, Salah second, Haaland third, and Maddison fourth. So basically, from those you mentioned, Salah, Haaland, Maddison in that order. Let me know if you disagree, because it's all about opinions. FPL and football is all about opinions, and we're going to get stuff wrong, but that's the way I'd rank it this week. Would you captain Son over Haaland? Yes, I would. Start Onana or Areola? Yeah, he might get a lot of saves, but he might also concede a lot. That's the problem. I'd go for Onana, which sounds crazy because he's delivered back-to-back 0-pointers, also got a 2-pointer against Tottenham. So he's been awful recently. But I'd go for Onana. Should I consider selling Eze for Diaby or Jota this week? I like Eze, but I would consider it. Jota could start this week with Darwin having a tight muscle problem against Ecuador, but I'd probably go for Diaby if I had to pick a midfielder this week. Would you captain Salah over Haaland? Yes, he'd be second in my captaincy list, only behind Son. Bench Mbeumo or Trippier? I'd bench Trippier, but it's all about what you think is going to happen in that game. I think both teams will score. Newcastle will probably win, but yeah, I think Mbeumo has a good chance with a penalty or on the counter-attack. He's in great form. Even for Cameroon, he scored. I know it was really bad defending, but yeah, I think Mbeumo's in great form. Best replacement for Mings, already have Chilwell and Saliba. Udogie. If you've got the defensive depth, I think Udogie's a great transfer. Yeah, I think Martinelli starts this game week, but that's a great point to raise because, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, you've got Arsenal facing Spurs. Next week, you've got PSV, really tough games. Everton, which is a bogey team, tomorrow. So rotation is almost inevitable. And I think Martinelli will start in the Champions League, and you probably would expect him to start against Spurs in the North London derby. So there is the odd possibility that he's benched against Everton. This is probably the most benchable game for him. So really tough course for Arteta to make. He's got to rotate very well to navigate this upcoming period. But I think Martinelli still starts. But yeah, it's a really good point you raised. There is a chance that he is benched. That is really true. Best 4.5 million under differential defenders. Under 4.5 million defenders, probably Bell, Kabore, just because they've got the double game week in 7 and good fixtures just before that. And if I'm not mistaken, let me just double check their price, because I'll be honest, I don't really check these options necessarily too often. But yeah, Robertson's 4.5 million. I think he's a good option for this week specifically against Luton Town at home. So let me try find you a 4.4 and under defender. I'll be honest, it is quite a tricky task. I think Gusto's up there. Yeah, you could say Anderson, Bell, Kabore, but really tough call this week. If you are backing the Everton, curse against Arsenal, maybe Tarkovsky could be decent, but I'm not sure I'd go there. Yeah, to be honest, I'd probably say Gusto is the one. Maybe a Luton Town defender as well, but I think Fulham will score. So my answer will be Gusto if you're looking for a 4.5 million and under, 4.4 million and under defender. So let me know. If you are including 4.5 million, it's a bit easier. Then I'd say Robinson is right up there. Estupinian, Saliba to Udogie, or Watkins to Alvarez or Roll. If I had to make a move this week, it'd be Estupinian to Udogie. But I think Rolling is also fine in your situation there, Goldhead. Best replacement for Mings, already have Chilwell and Saliba. Yeah, I'd go for Udogie if you've got the defensive depth there, EY. Start Jota or Mbeumo. Probably Jota. I think he'll start, but it's obviously going to be a risk. And if you can, just keep your eyes peeled for any leaks that you get on Twitter. That's the state of the game, of course. And I've already seen someone say earlier that Gravenberch starts today. Who to start out of Vardiol or Estupinian? I'd probably go for Vardiol, but I do recognise it's risky. West Ham aren't the easiest team to play against. Dylan, start Edison or Turner? I'd probably go for Edison, to be fair. Of course, Turner has the better fixture on paper, but Vlachodimos could usurp him. And of course, that's not really a big concern because he either starts or doesn't play at all. It's not a big concern, but I think C have a better chance of a clean sheet anyway. Did the transfers you told me. Gracias por las sugerencias. De nada. Thank you very much for that, the football lad. I appreciate it, and hopefully it goes well for you. Twisted Park, he says, Watkins out, Alvarez in, I guess that is, or Jesus. Sterling or Foden out for Son. Much as I want Son, I think Sterling and Foden should be had. What do you think? Yeah, I can see what you mean there. So as much as Son is desirable, he's not absolutely essential yet. If he continues to play down the middle, though, that's a different story, and he could go absolutely crazy this week. But Yeah, I'll be honest, I wouldn't do any of those transfers, really. If I had to pick one, it would probably be Foden to Son. Watkins facing Palace without Gay, I wouldn't want to sell him. And Alvarez, odd chance of rotation, same with Jesus. And as an FPL option, I prefer Watkins over Gabriel Jesus. So, yeah, I'd probably keep in all scenarios, especially if you feel Sterling and Foden are important for you. Should I get Son, Maddison in for Martinelli, Saka, Rashford, and Boomer or Matoma? I think from those lot, it's Matoma or Martinelli to sell. So I'm quite open to that. Now, with Martinelli, I think you can do extremely well over the next 3 game weeks in FPL, but there's also a chance of rotation, as rightly pointed out by another viewer. So, yeah, with Martinelli, I think he'll do well in every single game he starts over the next 3, but he could also be benched. He's got a good chance of being benched. Same with Matoma, arguably, with the Europa League coming along. Based on the fixtures as well, I'd rather sell Matoma from those lot. And I'd go to Maddison personally, but Son, of course, is also a really good option. Jackson or Pedro? Jackson. What about Watkins to Jesus and Foden to Son for a -4? No. If I had to make one transfer this week, it would be Foden to Son for free, and that's it. But if you can't afford that, then I do understand your dilemma. But I'm not sure I'd do that for a -4. The only reason why I do it is if you're going to captain Son. But yeah, I think Foden to Son for free is probably the way to go. Would you play Wissa or Estupinian? Not confident Wissa will get any returns away to Newcastle. I actually think Wissa could be benched this week, which is going to be a big concern for those that have Wissa, if it ends up being true, of course. I'm just speculating. I'd play Estupinian, I think, this week. Let's see what else we have. Hi, Dylan. Son for Bruno or Rashford? I would rather keep Bruno and sell Rashford, but it's really close. I was thinking a doggy, but Purvis could do fine versus United. Yeah, he could do fine, of course, but I think United will score, and that's why I've gone for a doggy. And I also want the defensive depth in the weeks to come too. Jacob says, thanks, Dylan. If I bring in Alvarez, I'll be on free City. Would you then do Foden to Son or hold Foden? As much as City are the best team in the world, club-wise, I wouldn't triple up on them offensively. My ideal triple up would be 2 attackers and 1 defender. Yeah, in that case, if you are bringing in Alvarez, I would probably do Foden to Son. Yeah, or Maddison. Harry King says, Foden, Watkins to Son and Alvarez have 2 free transfers. Could do a -4 for Akanji, Matoma, Watkins for share, Son, Alvarez. I would just stick with the normal transfers. And even then, I think Foden and Watkins are good options to keep, to be quite frank with you. So, not too sure about that, Harry King. As much as I like Son and Alvarez, I'd probably just stick to Foden to Son if you can afford it for free. And stick with that. Double Chelsea defence, Gusto Chilwell against Bournemouth, or start Estupinian. I'd start Estupinian and I'd start him over Gusto, I think. Thank you, Mona, for the super chat. And by the way, thank you to everyone who's been sending in super chats. We've got a lot of love today, and that's very much appreciated. And same with all the channel members and patrons. Of course, Milner is the newest member. That's why he's got that kind of star badge you see from FPL. If you do become a member, you'll be featured on my YouTube channel, and you'll also get access to all these, emojis, badges, whatever you want to call them, which will be showing every single time you pop along to the streams and videos. So Milner says, my starting 11, Vicario, Udogi, Cash, Chilwell, Bruno, Saka, Maddison and Bumo, Sterling, Awani and Haaland. Wishing everybody a fantastic game week, like and sub. Thank you, Milner. Very much appreciated. I have to say that team is looking great, and one of the few teams I've seen with double Spurs defense with Vicario and Udogi. That team looks really good, I have to be honest. It looks great. Yeah, I'm trying to pick holes in it, but I just can't. I really can't. Awani and Haaland were my front 2 in the best free hit team video. Vicario, I think, was in consideration for the best free hit team. The only reason why he wasn't is because I had Maddison and Son in the midfield and Udogi in the defense. Honestly, that team looks really good. I'd be surprised if it didn't do well this week. I'm not sure if I'd change anything. Let me know what your bench is. And, if you have any benching dilemmas or if you're considering any transfers. But as a starting 11, it's as good as I've seen, I think, from today's, today's live chat. So thank you for that, Milner. Let me know anything else, any other details you may want to pose in future comments, and you don't need to send super chats for that. Sea-Dog on YouTube says, Ake to Udogi. Yes, if you've got the defensive depth and you can bench a doggy in game week 6 and 7, yes. Thank you, Pat. Have a great week too. We've got 37 minutes left for the deadline, so keep your questions coming. It's always good to go through some different topics and questions and different scenarios. It's always a pleasure. Kay says, is captaining Son instead of Haaland that much unreasonable? No. He's playing down the middle. Should do so again against Sheffield United. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists in 4 Premier League games against Sheffield United, scoring in both home games against them historically. I see nothing wrong with that. In his last meeting, he actually got 1 goal, 1 assist. You know, if you equate that into FPL points, that's easily a double-digit return. If he gets bonus points as well, 2 or 3, you're easily looking at a 12 or 13 pointer. So, yeah, I think Son over Haaland is a reasonable captaincy choice this week, and Son would be number 1 for me in Game Week 5. Udogie or Pedro Porro? Interesting question. The reason why I went for Udogie is because he's cheaper, and I feel he's a bit more nailed on. I think there's less of a gap between Emerson Royal and Pedro Porro compared to Ben Davies and Udogie. And I have to say, Udogie, of course, it's early days, but he's showing a lot of talent, a lot of promise and potential. So as a long-term pick, I'd say Udogie. For a 1-week punt on a free hit, if you've got the funds, I'd say Pedro Porro. So it all really depends, but Udogie is my answer. That's who I transferred in. Hakonyu says, bench Nicholas Jackson, Bruno Fernandes and Bumo, Foden or Watkins help. I can see why you need it, because tough benching dilemma. I'd probably bench Mbeumo from those lot, but I say that very reluctantly because he is the best FPL asset so far this season from those you mentioned. So benching him could be a big mistake. It's really close, and honestly, whoever you bench, you could find yourself kicking yourself. So it's a tricky one. Maddison to Son or Roll? I will not sell Maddison. No chance. I know Son's playing down the middle. He's the flavour of the month. Everyone's getting him. Don't sell Maddison. That's my advice. He just won Player of the Month. Pedro Porro or Udogie? Covered that. Hopefully you got it. Jesus to Watkins for free. I'm guessing it's the other way around. I would keep Watkins this week. I wouldn't sell him when he's facing Palace without Gay. I have Onana in goal and Estupinian in defence. Should I replace one of them? I'd rather replace Onana, to be quite frank with you, despite there being more alternatives in the defence compared to the goalkeeper position. I don't think there's a particular standout in goal, but if you can do it, maybe Onana to Alisson, and of course then you've got Flecken and Leno. Those would be good transfers for you. Just bear in mind that United's fixtures turn very soon. Start Mitoma or Wissa? Mitoma. Will Gabriel start? Yes, I think so. I've said this every single game week, and I got it wrong on 4 occasions, but it should be true this time. Sterling to Son. I'd keep Sterling if you can, but I recognise that Son's the better asset right now, playing down the middle. Roy says, Mings and Bullock in the bench with 1 million in the bank. Who to bring in? I have White, Chilwell and Estupinian. I'd bring in Udogie. And then next week you can then replace Mings with, let's say, a Man City defender facing Nottingham Forest at home. So, yeah, I would probably bring in Udogie in for Baldock, Roy. That should be pretty good for you. Thank you, John Paul. I appreciate that. Gusto to Udogie or Saka to Son? Gusto to Udogie. Maddison to Son or Roll? Roll. Look, I know you might be really keen on Son and you think he's better than Maddison. Fair enough, but I wouldn't sell Maddison. I'd try another way to bring Son in, if anything. Burn, good and safe pick. With Newcastle, I don't think anyone's necessarily safe from rotation because they've got the Champions League group of death, and with their start to the season and their easier fixture run coming up in the Premier League, I could see them rotating in some Premier League games and playing their best team in the Champions League, because if they don't, they'll be knocked out. So I'm not so sure if Burn's a good and safe pick. I'd rather go for Botman. Even then, he's not going to start every single game in the Champions League and Premier League. Anthony Diaz says, start Gusto instead of Foden, Rashford or Jackson. My answer would be none. I would just start Foden, Rashford and Jackson. Milner says my bench is Flecken, Trippier, Wissa, Kabore in that order. To be honest, I agree with that. If it was in Mbeumo, I'd maybe start him or put him above Trippier in the pecking order, but I think Wissa could be benched, and that's why I agree with you, and I'd rank Trippier above him. Yeah, that team looks really solid, even for the future as well. You're in good shape, and I don't think I'd make any transfers this week. Good replacement for Jackson. Well, Alvarez, Awani definitely spring to mind. Darwin Nunez, but he does have a bit of a tight muscle problem. He could be benched against Wolves. It would not surprise me if Jota started down the middle this week. I wouldn't sell Jackson, though. Against Bournemouth, he's also got Burnley in a few game weeks' time. I know he's been frustrating, but the underlying numbers are fantastic. The best non-penalty XGI of any player in the Premier League. I'd probably keep him for now. Welcome music I like. Dylan, ¿qué tal? Pau or Gusto? Uf, es difícil, pero si tuviera que elegir uno, pondría a Pau Torres. Pero es muy difícil, muy difícil. Ali says, is it wise to captain Maddison? Well, it's not stupid or anything. I think it's a good choice. Maddison will be 4th in my list. I think Son first, Salah second, Haaland third, but Maddison's as good as anyone this week. I'm just being a bit boring and going for Haaland right now, but that's a different story. Keep Botman and transfer Maddison for Gabby. Yeah, I think Gabriel Martinelli could do extremely well over the next 3 game weeks, but there is the possibility of rotation, which a viewer rightly pointed out. Because, you know, facing Everton, PSV, and Spurs in a week, is Martinelli going to play every single one of them? He could, but I just don't know if he starts every single one. I just don't. As for keeping Botman, yeah, he's available now. Good long-term fixtures. Even if he's benched from time to time, you can rotate with other defenders, so that's not too bad. Maddison in for Gabby, I'd probably do it. Holding Wissa, a bad shout for Everton and Nottingham Forest in the next 3? No. My only concern with Wissa is possible rotation, especially in the tougher games like Newcastle, where Brentford could switch to a back 3 and start 2 forwards in Shada and Mbeumo. Whom to bench, Solly March or Archer? Archer. I'd start Solly March there. Thank you, Roy. Pickford to Areola or Flecken? Well, I wouldn't buy Areola now. He's facing Man City. I know he's a 4.1 million goalkeeper. He can do well in any game week, but it's Flecken for me. Despite facing Newcastle, he's my preference to buy out of those 2. Gabriel or Estupinian? Gabriel this week. What morning, Adil? Is the plan still to roll the transfer? I already made the transfer. It was a doggy in for Baldock. Dor says, is Matoma to Son and Watkins to Alvarez worth a -4? I wouldn't do it. I think Watkins outscores Alvarez this week. That's my prediction. There's a chance of Alvarez being benched as well. Watkins faces Palace without Gay. As for Matoma to Son, yeah, that's a good transfer. I do understand why you're doing this or looking to do it, because Matoma to Son, it can only be done if you downgrade Watkins, but I'm not so sure if I'd do that this week, to be honest. Saka to Jota or Roll? Jota could start this week, but he's not nailed on in the long term. Sterling to Maddison. I like Sterling, but Maddison is my preference, and I said that even heading into Game Week 4 after Sterling got 19 points. So, yeah, I'd ideally find another way of doing it, but if that's your only way of getting a Spurs attacker this week, then I'd probably do it. Not ideal, though, of course. Yeah, Goldhead, my transfer was Baldock out for a doggy. It's covered in the team selection video, and I haven't changed from that. It's all the same. Uday Gaming says, hi Dylan, please help who to bench, March or Archer? I covered this already. I'd start March, bench Archer. Dor says, is Matoma to Son and Watkins to Alvarez worth a -4? Covered. Milner says, yes, I already did. I went Baldock to Cash. Yeah, exactly. So you're in good shape there. Thank you, Zvonimir. I appreciate that. Best content every game week. Keep it up. Cheers. Very kind words. Thank you very much. Watkins, Jesus, Darwin. Keep Watkins is my answer. I know I sound very boring, but I think this week Watkins outscores the other 2. Jesus looked electric against Man United, but does he start against Everton and Tottenham with PSV in between in the Champions League? I'm not so sure. And you've got Darwin with a tight muscle problem. I just keep Watkins. Bruno Rashford for Son. I would sell Rashford and keep Bruno. Martinelli to Diaby. Yeah. Once again, I like Martinelli for the fixtures, but there is a chance of rotation there. Hey Dylan, I'm thinking of removing Saka for Son instead of Rashford. I'd rather keep Saka instead of Rashford, especially if you have Fernandes already. But if you are backing Man United more in the next few weeks, that's understandable because Arsenal face Tottenham and Man City in the next 2 home games. Harry says, Foden, Watkins to Son Alvarez have 2 free transfers, could do a -4. We have covered this already, by the way. My answer was to do Foden to Son for free, and that's it. I wouldn't do Watkins to Alvarez for a -4 hit. Dylan, are we getting any leaked Liverpool team news? Apparently we got something about Gravenberch starting. We could get some team news. I'm going to try look. If you've got any links to reliable sources with, you know, inside information, then let me know. And then we can cover it on the channel. Because, yeah, I'm kind of focused on, you know, the questions in front of me. And because of that, yeah, I'm not able to kind of check Twitter. I'm having a look now very quickly, but yeah, I don't see anything. So we've got 26 minutes left until the deadline, so be sure to keep putting your questions in. I don't see anything at the moment, but if you see anything, because you might have something in front of you, then be sure to let me know. All I see are predicted lineups, which aren't really worth going for at the moment. Apologies, but because it's so hot in my room, I'm going to have to turn on my fan. There might be a bit of a sound whenever I speak. I do apologize for that, but it has to be done. Should I sell Saliba to a Newcastle player or roll the transfer to next week? I would just roll. Salah and Joao Pedro to Son and Jesus, says Foxy. No. As much as Son and Jesus look really promising, I wouldn't sell Salah this week. And I would argue Salah has better fixtures in Game Week 6 and 7 compared to Son. Already have Maddison. Do I go for Son for Rashford? Yeah, I think Rashford to Son is good. Of course, in Game Week 6 and 7, it might not be ideal, but if you've already got Bruno, I'd rather double up on Spurs than Man United, despite the fixtures. Ah, man, lucky. I'm 0.4 million off doing Baldock to a doggy, which is why I'm thinking of Stupinian. Yeah, I get your conundrum there. It's not ideal because Stupinian plays Bournemouth next week and a doggy faces Arsenal away. If I were you, Goldhead, I'd probably keep a Stupinian. No worries, Milner. Thank you very much for your contributions. I appreciate it very much, and for being a channel member. So, all the best, mate. Enjoy the game week. Jota starts via FPL Reports Twitter. I'll have a look. I appreciate that. I'm not surprised, though. I've been saying it for the stream. I'm not trying to act like I know it all. It's just an educated guess, if you can even call it educated. But yeah, with Darwin Nunez playing against Ecuador a few days ago, coming off at half-time with a tight muscle problem, it doesn't surprise me. So let me have a look. I appreciate that. I'm going to have a quick look. I think they are reliable. I'm not sure, actually. Let me have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah, people are asking for other questions, but yeah, apparently Jota starts. Let's see. Take it with a pinch of salt. Would I buy Jota this week? Not so sure, because afterwards he could be benched in Game Week 6 or 7. Foden out, Bruno in, or wait 1 week? Wait 1 week, I think. And also, by next week, you probably don't want to do it because Foden plays Nottingham Forest. So yeah, it's a tricky one. Start Estupinian or Vardiol? Probably Vardiol for me, but that's based on clean sheet chances. Clean sheet chances, but that's tricky. Turgi says Sterling, Son, and Gabriel in for Colwell, Matoma, and Fernandes for a -8. Not sure I'd do a -8, to be honest, and I don't like selling Fernandes as part of that, to be honest. If anything, if you are, willing to take a hit, maybe Gabriel and Son in, or Mitoma and Colwell, if you can do that, but I wouldn't sell Fernandes. Yeah, I think Fernandes to Sterling, for example. Yeah, I'd rather just not do that. So just stick with a -4 at the most. Bruno to Son or Rashford to Son? Rashford to Son. But really close. It can go either way. Hi, Dylan. Which two to start? Mbumo, Gusto, Ruben Diaz, and Estupinian. Tricky questions this week. I'd say Diaz and maybe Mbumo, yeah. That's what I'm going for at the moment. Would you pick Chilwell or Trippier on a wild card? Well, Chilwell has better fixtures over the next 4. I'd say less chance of rotation with no Europe. But on a wild card, probably Trippier. Surianch says, hey Dylan, which 3 defenders would you pick out of Doggy, Estupinian, Gabriel, and Gusto? I mean, Doggy has to start. There's no doubt about it. I'd probably bench Gusto from those lot. Ian Monson says, hi Dylan, should I transfer in Share or Botman for Henry? It'd be Botman, but Henry looks good for Game Week 6 against Everton, so bear that in mind. Whom to captain, Salah or Haaland? I'd go for Salah, but bear in mind that he hasn't scored or assisted. No, sorry, that's not true. He hasn't scored at the Molineux since his first start there in the 2017-18 season. So since then, only the odd assist here and there, and the rest of the returns have come at Anfield. But I think with the way Wolves are and Liverpool flying, I think Salah is the one. Starting Botman over Estupinian? No, I'd start Estupinian. Thoughts on Bullock to Botman? Good long-term transfer. Alexander says, hi Dylan, is getting Son Maddison for a -4 worth it? Either Foden to Maddison or Rashford to Son? Well, in isolation, bringing a Spurs midfielder in for a -4 looks good for this week, especially if you're going to captain them. The problem is the players you're going to sell, Rashford, Foden, I just don't like that too much, to be honest. But my preference would be to sell Rashford to Son or Maddison, especially if you already have Fernandes. My rank is 34, or is it 340,000? Estupinian in the bench, good or not? Well, it depends who you start over Estupinian, of course, but it's a good rank, definitely, at this stage of the season. Have Fabian Schär. Should I play him in place of Stupinian? I wouldn't, personally. Bruno for captain. Captain Son. I wouldn't sell Bruno for Son. That'd be my answer. In terms of captaining Son, yeah, no problems with that. Botman or Estupinian to start? Estupinian. Dylan, who to captain? Salah or Haaland? Salah. Why? Because I think Wolves are a bit... I'd consider them an easier fixture than West Ham at the moment. Of course, Man City are the best team in the league as things stand, but Liverpool are second or third, it looks like. And Salah's in great form. He's actually currently on his second best ever FPL run. I think 10 games in a row with a return. So I'd go for Salah. Because of his consistency, I think he'll break that kind of Molineux curse of not scoring since the 2017-18 season. So yeah, I'd go for Salah. Have Areola and Pickford. Should I bring in Leno for Pickford or save the transfer? The thing is, Pickford has gotten a few clean sheets against Arsenal at Goodison Park in recent seasons, but I think that will change this time round. I think Leno in for Pickford's good, and there's some really good rotation between Leno and Areola. What do you think? Leno, Purvis, Saliba, Chilwell, Sterling, Foden, Bruno, Saka and Bumo, Watkins, Haaland, bench, Archer, Baldock, Botman, Pickford. Good team. In the long term, I'd look to sell Pickford, even if it's the downgrade to Areola or another cheaper goalkeeper. But yeah, your team looks good for this week. There's not much wrong with it. Yeah, it's looking in good shape this week. The only concern is no Spurs coverage, but you can't have them all. 2 out of Gusto, Chilwell and Matoma this week. Chilwell and Matoma. Foden to Son. I'd say yes, but just bear in mind, Foden plays Nottingham Forest next week. And the only reason why I'm saying yes is because Foden could be rotated with the Champions League coming along. City plays Svernes Veseda in... Is it on the Tuesday? No. They play on the Wednesday. So yeah, I'd probably do it, but just bear in mind, Foden is still a good option to keep. Haaland or Maddison captain? I'm going for Haaland at the moment. I'd probably rank Haaland just above Maddison. Rick Tom says, hi Dylan, which goalkeeper to bring in for Pickford? Fleckin, Areola or Leno? My preference is Fleckin. Leno is a good option, but I don't trust Fulham defensively, so I'd go for Fleckin. Start Gusto instead of Foden, Rashford or Jackson? None. I wouldn't start Gusto. Sell Foden? I don't think you need to be honest. Nunez will be on the bench. Doesn't surprise me if it's true. He had a tight muscle problem the other day against Ecuador, so doesn't really surprise me. If you see any links to, a reliable source with leaks, then be sure to let me know. Jesus or Alvarez? Alvarez long term. So that's my answer. Best goalkeeper under 5.3 million? Probably Fleckin or Vicario. Captain Haaland or Son? Son. Yeah, I think Son captain's looking good. Should I do Watkins to Alvarez and Mitoma to Son for a -4? No, I wouldn't sell Watkins to Alvarez for a -4. Mitoma to Son, yeah, looks great, but I wouldn't do the other move. That's just my opinion. Martinelli or Foden to Diaby or Sterling? It'd be Martinelli out to Diaby. Worth to take a -4 for Joao Pedro, Mitoma out, and Alvarez and Andres Pereira in. I like Alvarez, but I'm not sure about the Andres Pereira move. I know they play Luton, and he could do really well this week, but beyond that, I think Mitoma does better in Game Week 6, and there are better midfielders elsewhere. So I'm not sure about that -4. Foden to Son, yep, I'd do it, just about. Jota starts confirmed, says Goldhead. And by the way, thank you, Alexander, for the super chat. If you've got a message you want to put, then be sure to let me know. I will see it and answer. So thank you very much for that. Will Gabriel start again this weekend? Yeah, I think so. It'd be foolish, I think, to bench him. His physicality, his presence will be really important against Everton. I think the best shot Everton have of getting anything against Arsenal is overpowering them and overwhelming them physically in the midfield, and also launching crosses into the box and putting Arsenal under constant pressure in aerial situations. And if Gabriel's not there, I think Arsenal could struggle immensely. So he has to start. I have Vardiol. Will he start? I think so. It's a tough game for Man City. Vardiol's one of their best defenders. He should start. But of course, it's not that simple with Pep. Should I start Estupinian instead of him? It's a tricky one this week because Estupinian plays Man United away. I'd say Man City have a better chance of a clean sheet, but Estupiñán has a better chance of attack and return. So it goes both ways. I'd probably go for Vardio just about. Fernandes to Maddison or roll. I like Maddison a lot, but would I sell Fernandes? Probably not. So if you've got Fernandes and Rashford, I'd sell one of them to Maddison, and my preference would be Rashford. But otherwise, if you only got Fernandes, I'd probably keep. So yeah, we're getting a few people saying Nunez is on the bench. Oamara says sell Gay or Estupiñán to Cash or a doggy. Probably Gay. It looks like he's missing out this week, and despite Palace's good underlying numbers, I'd rather keep Estupiñán longer term. So my answer will be Gay to a doggy if you've got the defensive depth. Do you think Son is overlooked by everyone with one hat-trick last week, or is it a good option to have him looking at the tough fixtures in the coming game weeks? Well, overlooked definitely not, because he's the most transferred in player, but I get what you mean. He's is he being maybe a bit overrated, or, you know, is he kind of being given too much attention? I think the main reason why, obviously the hat-trick helps a lot, but it's because he's playing down the middle, and it's a change in role for him, and he got two big chances against Burnley, and I think over the course of the season, let me actually have a quick look so I don't get it wrong. Over the course of the season, yeah, he's only had two big chances, and both of them came against Burnley, playing down the middle. So I think that role change could be significant, especially playing against Arsenal, Liverpool up next. You know, with high lines from both teams, Son playing down the middle could be absolutely exceptional. So I think that's also a key reason why. Now, is he essential now? No. But if he plays down the middle for the next few months, then I think he's going to be one of the best FPL midfielders in the game. Playing out of position, he's going to get a lot of goals, be a contender for the Golden Boot potentially, but it's all dependent on that. If he goes back to the left at some point, he's less appealing, and that will be a big concern. Any team news? Any team leaks, Dylan? Apparently, Gravenberch starts, Darwin Nunez is benched, and Jota starts. Not surprised about the Jota-Darwin news. I was talking about this earlier myself, but that's apparently the leaks we've seen today. Will Romero start? Yes, I think so. Udogie in for Udogie in for Vardio or Maddison in for Martinelli have 2 free transfers. I like Udogie a lot this week. I'd probably do it, but yeah, I'd only do Udogie in if you've got the defensive depth to then bench him in game weeks 6 and 7, because I don't want to start him in those game weeks. But yeah, the transfers overall look good. I think game week 9 will be good wildcard, easy Salah access. Yeah, he faces Everton and Nottingham Forest back-to-back at home. So yeah, it's not even just that. There's a lot of fixture swings happening around that time. I think Brighton are another team after game week 9. They've got a great fixture run until game week 16. Should I play Gusto over Mbeumo? No, not for me. Who to start, Gusto or Estupiñán? I'd personally go for Estupiñán. Sterling or Rashford to Son? Rashford, especially if you have Bruno Fernandes already. Would you bench Martinelli for either Vardiol or Wissa? No, I would start Martinelli and probably over Wissa. Start one of Botman, Morris, and Mbeumo or Estupiñán. Probably between Mbeumo or Morris, and I'd go for Mbeumo. Buy Son or Jesus for game week 6. For game week 6, I mean, I still prefer Son out of the two, so that's my answer. Ang sounds like Richie will be starting down the middle, Son back to the wing. Yeah, I mean, it could be a possibility in the weeks to come, but it'd just be very weird if, you know, especially in this week, if Son gets shifted to the left after scoring a hat-trick down the middle. Dylan, defensive dilemma, Chilwell, Udogie, Akanji, Saliba, bench 1. It would be probably Akanji. Just about. Transfer plans, I've already made one transfer, Udogie and for Baldock, and that's it. And as for my transfer plans, I'll discuss this in the team selection videos coming up and the reaction stream. I don't know why people think Son is suddenly striker after one match versus Burnley. Well, I mean, he scored a hat-trick playing down the middle against them. I'm not saying he's going to play down the middle all season, but if he can get a continued run down that position, he's a great option. Play wildcard or wait. It's difficult for me to say without knowing your team, but in most cases, I'd say wait. Will the Arsenal defender Gabriel start? Yes. Who to sell Gabriel to? I'd keep, but if you were to sell him, maybe Udogie. Will you start Leno or Turner? I'd probably start Leno, but it's a close call. Captain Son, yes for me. Start Botman or Vardiol or sell one for Udogie. Cheers, Dylan. I'd start Vardiol. In terms of selling one, I mean, I wouldn't sell Botman. He's available to play. He's got good long-term fixtures. So in terms of selling one, it would be Vardiol, but oddly enough, this week, I'd start him over Botman. So I'd probably just keep in your scenario. Start Estupinian or Colwill, Estupinian, and same with here, Karaki, I'd start Estupinian to be honest. Siang707 says, just sold Foden for Son. Forest next week at home will be a painful one. Yeah, that's the problem. But Son could still do well in the tougher fixtures. Colwill out for who? The doggy, if you don't have him already. Start Watkins or Andreas. Watkins. Transfer out Foden for Son. I'd say yes, but that's only because rotation is possible over the next few weeks. Man City plays 7 games in 24 days. Gusto or Saliba? Saliba. Son in for either Mitoma, Saka, Bruno, Sterling, Maddison. Mitoma. Would you captain Son over Haaland? Yes. Start Gabriel or Cher? Gabriel. Siang says start Estupinian or Colwill. Estupinian more attacking. Yeah, I'd go for Estupinian. Start Watkins over Mitoma or Mbumo? Yes, I'd start him over both. If I had to bench one, maybe I'd bench Mitoma this week. Nick N says, I have a dilemma. Who to bench from Szoboszlai, Rashford, Nick Jackson, Alvarez? I know he delivered a 10-pointer last week, but probably Szoboszlai. Gusto or Saliba? Covered. Luis Diaz or Maddison? Yeah, Diaz has good fixtures, but I prefer Maddison long term. Start Areola or Pickford this week? Pickford. Yeah, Pickford. Play Onana or Areola, or transfer Onana to Leno? I'd play Onana. As for transferring Onana to Leno, not a bad shout, but I don't trust Fulham defensively, and also United's fixtures turn in Game Week 6. Baldock to Udogie or Wissert to a forward, you reckon? Have one free transfer. I'd do Baldock to Udogie. Who should I start, says Mohammed. I don't know what the scenario is, to be honest, so let me know. Sonny says, Yo Dylan, start Vardiol, Gusto or Stupinian? I'd go for Vardiol. Didn't Ange mention that Richarlison would be involved? Wouldn't Richarlison's post on his struggles favour Son? Look, the thing is, I believe Son will start down the middle against Sheffield United. It might not be a long-term thing. Richarlison might come off the bench and, they start trying to boost his confidence. Hopefully he, sorts his demons out after the Arsenal game. That's all I'm saying. Or, that's all I'm saying. But anyway, with Heung-min Son, it's tricky, because traditionally he plays on the left-hand side, but he's certainly capable of doing a good job down the middle. Of course, against more physical centre-backs like Gabriel and Saliba, he could be dealt with, you could argue, but Son is a handful against most teams in the world. Mohammed says, who should I start, Estupinian or Pau Torres? Probably Estupinian. Start Turner or Edison? Edison. Foden in for Rashford. Not a bad move, but I'd probably keep Rashford. Start Gabriel or Estupinian bench? I'd start Gabriel. Porro or Udogie? I prefer Udogie overall. I think this week Porro might outscore him, but I prefer Udogie overall. Still have Jackson hold for now. I'd hold him at least for one more week. I'm so crazy. I woke up at 6 in the morning, had a feeling about Barnes, got him in. I woke up at 6 as well, unfortunately. So yeah, that kind of disrupted the sleep. But I get what you mean there. Kind of your moments of madness. We've all had them. Hopefully, it turns out to be a stroke of genius. Harvey Barnes against Brentford, not a bad shout. Diaz starts. I don't know. My guess would be yes, but I honestly don't know. I'll have a look at the possible lineups that we might have had. What is it? The Spion Cop, I think it is. They tend to have some Liverpool leaks. I can't really nail down their username though, so that is a bit annoying. I might have changed it. So yeah, if you've got a link to any league lineups, then be sure to let me know. We've got 8 minutes left for the deadline. Massive shout out to those who sent in super chats today. You're massively appreciated. And also to all the channel members and patrons who we've shouted out earlier in this stream. We're trying to get to 50 plus channel members and patrons, which we did last season. And at one stage, we were quite close to 100. So we want to keep on pushing, reach new goals. And we are around 400 subscribers away from 20,000. And also in terms of this stream specifically, we have 137 likes, so thank you very much to those who did it. I massively appreciate that. And let's try to get to 150 before the end of the stream. I think we can definitely do it. And yeah, just massive shout out to those who have been supporting the channel throughout the last few years. Already have a Doggy, Chill and a Stupinian. Colwill out for Cher or Botman? I would do Colwill out for Botman, yes. Now this week I don't really anticipate a Newcastle or Chelsea clean sheet, but it's a good long-term move. Jota starts Dylan. Now the better captain is Haaland. Yeah, but I still think Son is probably above Haaland this week. But yeah, fair enough. Maybe that has an impact on Salah's prospects. Yeah, it looks like Jota starts and Darwin Nunez is benched, but I can't get my hands on the other kind of news we may have gotten already. Start Chilwell or Mbumo? Chilwell, I guess. It's really close, though. Maddison, cheeky captain punt. I don't mind it. He's fourth on my list overall, but I do put Haaland above him. Alvarez for Watkins, says Mohamed. I wouldn't sell Watkins this week. I'd give him one more week at least. And then you can buy Alvarez next week against Forest if you feel he will start and won't be benched. Should I sell Rashford for Jota? No, I'd keep Rashford. Start Eze or Mbumo? Mbumo. Darwin for Jackson? I'd keep Jackson. Did I start Nunez even if he is benched, or start Estupiñán or Matoma? I'd start a Brighton player there. And yeah, by the way, Guillermo, it looks like Darwin Nunez is benched, so I definitely wouldn't buy him for Jackson. It's just my personal opinion, though. Rashford to Diaby for a -4? No, I wouldn't do it for a -4. Foden starts. I can't tell you that. We don't have any leaks. And all I'm saying is my opinion. I think Foden starts today, but I can't guarantee it. Best 8 million and under midfielder in order. Best 8 million and under. Probably Maddison, to be honest. Yeah, Maddison's #1, especially this week. I wouldn't do that, Mohamed. I'd keep Watkins. Diaz to Saka or Rashford. You're selling Diaz to Saka or Rashford. I'm not so sure if it's that, or you're selling one of those to Diaz. But yeah, in either case, I'd keep Saka and Rashford. I think that would be the answer. And Saka is my preference overall. Use my 1 free transfer on Baldock for a doggy so I can bench Estupiñán. Yeah, I've done that. I don't mind that at all. And you can also bench a doggy in the weeks to come. Will Darwin start? It looks like he doesn't. And that was my prediction from today and also in the last few days. Hold Jackson or take a -4. Hold Jackson. Start Morris or Alvarez. Probably Alvarez still. Or sell Alvarez for Isak. There is a chance that Isak is benched this week. I'd just keep Alvarez. Awani captain. I like Awani. I think he'll score, but I don't think his ceiling is particularly high. He tends to get 6 to 9 points, which isn't bad. I mean, you'd rather get points than nothing, but you know, in terms of captains, I like to captain someone who's got high ceiling. So a Heung-min Son, a Salah, a Haaland. Not so sure about Awani. And as good as Forest have been this season, they aren't the most reliable of teams. Mitoma to Mbumo. I'd probably keep Mitoma for now for the next two, but it's not a bad transfer. I do prefer Mbumo overall. It's a good move. Foden to Son or Roll, I would do it, but you don't need to make the transfer. Ben Cox says, I have Saliba and Cher. Is it worth benching Mbumo to play Saliba and Cher? Saliba and Cher. I would bench Cher and start Mbumo. That's what I would do. Start Estupiñán or Rico Henry. I would start Estupiñán. You can see it in my bench order too. Pickford to Flecken is a good move if I don't have anything else to do. Yeah, I'd say so. Mitoma to Mbumo, yes, would be my answer. Should I quickly sell Darwin? Who would you sell him to, though? Maybe Alvarez, Awani, some people saying Jesus as well. But not really too keen on forward transfers this week, to be honest. But yeah, I can understand why you want to do it. It looks like he's benched, and the fixtures afterwards are pretty tough. So if you can do it for free, maybe Darwin to Awani or Alvarez looks good. Light says, if I already have Maddison in, is it still worth bringing in Son for Odegaard? I think so. I like Odegaard, really nice chap, good player, of course, but yeah, I'd say Son and for Odegaard looks good. Should I start Andreas over Mbumo? I probably would, actually, with the fixture in mind. Yeah, I think he can go big. Jesus start, I'm not so sure, and the reason why I say this is because Arsenal play PSV Eindhoven in a few days' time in the Champions League, and they play Tottenham next weekend, so rotation is inevitable. We've literally got 2 minutes left, so let's keep on going. I could just do Estupiñán to a doggy now and reverse it next week, even if it's a waste of a transfer. Doesn't look too bad when you say it, but you might have other fires, to put out in the weeks to come, injuries or maybe rotation. You never know what can happen in FPL, or there might be a midfielder or striker you really want to get next week, and it would force a hit if you were to do that. So, yeah, if you want to play it by the fixtures, it could work out really well for you, but yeah, it certainly isn't ideal, I'd say. I'd back your guy on this one, Godhead, because honestly, it can go either way. Ultimately, yes, you'll probably gain points in Game Weeks 5 and 6 by playing it in terms of fixtures, but you might regret, if other fires, start to come up. Adash says, guys, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you to everyone who's already done so, and those that share the videos, hit the notification bell, and never miss a single upload or live stream. You're all much appreciated. Be sure to check out the Discord server, because maybe some of you aren't aware, we do have a Discord server. It's growing and growing. We have polls out for the captaincy every week. We've got the bots updating us on the injuries, all the news you need to know, lineups. So if you join the Discord server, everything you need to know about FPL is in there, and we can talk about UCL fantasy on a separate channel. So I'm going to put a link to the not the Patreon, sorry, to the Discord server here. I think this should work. There are sometimes issues with the links, but I think this should work. So yeah, be sure to join the Discord server. There's also the Patreon and channel memberships if you want to support the channel even further. Massive shout out to those that have already signed up. Saka or Szoboszlai? Saka. Hey, Dylan, Gabriel likely to start? Yes, would be my answer. Eze or Estupinian? I would go for Estupinian, just about. I'd also go for Estupinian here, Hermoso. I've captained Son. I hope this doesn't backfire on me. No, I think it's a good shout, to be honest. He would be my captain if I had him. Good luck. Yeah, let's see what happens there. Thoughts on keeping Bowen. If Sheffield United can score against City, so can West Ham. Yeah, but it was an absolute screamer. And Sheffield United did miss another big chance. I think they missed an open goal. Yeah, West Ham can score, of course, but the problem is the ceiling is low, and you've got so many other midfielders like Maddison with a great fixture. You've also got Diaz, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford. So many different options this week, but I understand that. Bowen has scored against City before. I did Baldock out for a doggy. We'll deal with funds headaches next week. Yep, good luck, mate. Hopefully it turns out well for you. I also did the same thing, so naturally I would want it to do well. I have Onana and Areola. Should I sell one of them, and who should I buy? Well, Onana's the one to sell because he's more expensive and it gives you more money in the bank. And I'd probably sell him to, Alisson, Vicario, Fleck, and Leno. Those are kind of the top 4 goalkeepers at the moment. But, of course, I do recognise the deadline has passed around a minute ago. So thank you very much for all the questions. I'll keep on answering this. But, of course, do recognise that you can't make any more changes for Gameweek 5. Bench 1, it would be Henry. See Ward-Prowse for who and -4, or should I keep him? Well, if you were to take a -4 hit this week, it'd be Ward-Prowse to a Maddison or Son. Start Rico or Estupinian. Estupinian. Basically, I have an extension that's called FPL Away Kits. If you type that in on Google, you'll be able to add it to your browser, such as Google Chrome or Brave. With Safari, you won't be able to do it, but with Google Chrome-based web browsers, you are able to add extensions, and if you refresh the page, you will have the away kits. Start Estupinian or Cowell. Estupinian. Would you say rolling or buying a doggy is a higher ceiling right now? Well, higher ceiling would be a doggy, but it's also riskier. Wei saying, yep, that's very much true. Good luck to you as well, Antonio. Let's see what else we have. Martinelli to Son, here we go. Wish me luck. Good luck, even though I hope Martinelli smashes it, but there is a chance of rotation, so you should be good. Zaid says, time's up. Yes, you are right. And we are done indeed. 100 points loading. Hopefully, that'd be amazing. After the travesty I had last week, that'd be great. And also, hopefully, you do really well too. And there at the Discord, always look to help from me if you need. Yeah, I appreciate that way saying you've been helping a lot with the bots and the setup, because I'll be honest, I was a bot myself in terms of Discord. I was like, what's this? What's that? Oh my God, I had to do a lot of research, but I'm getting better at it, but still need a lot of work. Thank you, Jay. And yeah, time is up. We are locked in. Tried to make the move last second. Transfer I've ever tried. Let's see if a dog is in my team or not. Is he? Yeah, I'm guessing he's in your starting 11 because it's a Stupinian to a doggy. He was already starting. So yeah, good luck, Goldhead. Let me know how it turns out. Botman to start. Yep, I believe so. We are locked. Best of luck, everyone. Likewise, Goldhead. City usually don't score many goals against West Ham. Not recently at the London Stadium. Off the top of my head, they've scored like 2 in the last one, 2-0 win. Before that, I think they scored, was it a 1-1 draw or 2-2 draw, and Mahrez missed a penalty. Historically, Man City do score a lot of goals against West Ham home and away, but I think in recent meetings away from home, you are right. Locked in, yes we are. All good, Tezo, what about you? Decided to sell Jackson and Foden to Alvarez and Son. Hope it goes well. Good luck, Dylan. Good luck to you. And fair enough. You got to back your gut. I'm only offering my opinions. I was not too sure about Jackson out for Alvarez this week. But overall, I do recognise that Alvarez is the better pick. I can't believe I actually banked the transfer in the international break. Yeah? Yeah. FPL is full of surprises sometimes. Welcome, Sanjay. What's cooking, Dylan? Sorry for being late. No worries, mate. Just got back from uni and got Eze in and Paqueta out. Saturday uni. Jesus, I've never been at any school on a Saturday, so I do feel for you there. But enjoy the sunshine wherever you are. Hopefully there is sunshine. And by the way, Sanjay, if you've got any other kind of games for, spell, like give a country for every letter of Fernandez's name, I'm ready this time. I promise you. I should do much better. Hopefully I don't make a fool of myself. Singh says Højlund would be a close watch this week. Definitely. I'm not keen on the double up in United offensively, but that could certainly change if they start clicking, and I think Højlund could be integral to that. March, Mitoma and Boomer bench one, it would have been probably a Brighton midfielder. It's just close, so difficult to kind of decide who to bench between March and Mitoma. Probably March, just about. Yeah, we are locked in. Should I sell Son next week? Probably not. If you buy him now, keep him and give him a chance to do well for you. Most people don't have a single Liverpool player. Yeah, and look, I'd love to have Liverpool players, but, it's all about, prioritizing, and you can't have everyone. I will get Liverpool players eventually. Hoping Diaz starts. I think he will, but let's see. Any news about Alvarez? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Prayer circle for a Salah blank. I hope so too. I don't have him, but I think he'll do well. Looking for a captaincy poll from me every Thursday. Yeah, I'll try to do it maybe even earlier as well, just to give more people time to vote. But yeah, the more people we have in the Discord server, the better, and then we can have more votes, some more interactions, conversations, engagement, and more feedback. Thank you, Safir. Good luck to you as well, and I appreciate all the shout-outs, the moderation, and the contributions in terms of questions or comments. Thank you. Adash says, good luck, Dylan and guys. Hope we have a good a goal haul week. Yes, definitely. A lot of us need it. But yeah, it should be a good one. Best of luck this week, man. Thank you. Control-Alt-Delete. Amazing name. Remember, Haaland debut, they will score +2. Yeah, I think City will score 2 or 3. Towel Awani, thoughts? Great option for this week. Good budget option. Really consistent. Not high ceiling though, so I wouldn't captain him, but he's a good shout for sure. I have a triple Chelsea defence and Trippier. Oof, that is risky. Hopefully it goes well for you. I've got Chilwell, so a Chelsea clean sheet would be ideal from an FPL perspective. Good luck, mate. One more Mbumo stop rising in price. Maybe when he blanks against Newcastle, potentially. Let's see. Hopefully I haven't jinxed it. Kept Foden bought in a doggy for Baldock. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. Probably the best course of action for your team. Yeah, we'll go through score predictions now. Why not City defenders? Rotation, and also I wanted to target the Sheffield United fixture this week, and yeah, dog is cheaper, bonus points potential, higher ceiling. City defenders haven't been particularly great for the past year or so in fantasy, in FPL. Hoping to get a green arrow this week. Yes, that is going to be the aim. Let's put the emoji here. So those channel members, if you are still watching, just click on the kind of emoji icon and make sure to spam the chat with greens. Maybe not spam it, but just put a green arrow, just to manifest some green arrows for everyone in the chat there. And also maybe some of these as well, these stars in your players, which means they are amongst the highest scoring players this week and over the course of the season. Anthony says, should I buy Son for Rashford, Mbumo, Foden, or Saka for Game Week 6? I wouldn't buy Son next week. I think the time to buy him really was now, and then maybe afterwards looking towards Game Week 8. But he should do well over the next few weeks regardless if he plays down the middle. Thank you, Niken, and thank you, Wei saying I'll see you very soon. Good luck. Need a Bruno hat-trick and a Stupinan hat-trick. I mean, I wouldn't mind the Bruno hat-trick, but a Stupinan hat-trick might cause me to cry and break down. Start a 1-minute timer and name 2 things per alphabet for Erling Haaland, like E for egg and eggplant. Oh, I'd rather do countries, I'm not going to lie, but I mean, you're the one posing it. Good luck, homie. Don't make a fool of yourself. Start a 1-minute timer. Oh my God, really? Oh my God, what am I getting myself into? Okay, wait, so it could be anything, right? 2 things per alphabet. So you're making it easier, but like I said, give me a country, Sanjay. If you're willing to do countries, I'll do that to make it more difficult, and I'll start a timer. So yeah, Saka will score. No need for Son, says Alan. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'd love a Saka return, even though he's such a template pick. Solanke will destroy finished club. You say that, but then, Chelsea will probably win. No, we'll see. Yeah, what about the channel name, says Zaid? Well, it's still Dylan RCM for now. But I was considering changing the name just to boost us in the algorithm and stuff like that, because people search for FPL all the time. But I also think of it, and nearly everyone has FPL in their name, and it is a bit boring, kind of like me captaining Haaland like everyone else. So yeah, I do like this kind of unique channel name. You know, there could be some more content in the future for other things, you know, football, films, and stuff like that, which is what I started out originally with the channel, gaming. So yeah, I do like this channel name for now, but I am considering a possible move, at least for a short-term thing. Laporte, do me a favor back then. Forward add-on Jesus, says Shukri. A doggy 12-pointer will do, says Brian. Oh, definitely. I do have a Reddit, but I haven't used it much. But yeah, I'm looking to maybe, you know, expand to that as well. Do you play any tiki-taka? No, no, Simon, I don't really, to be honest. Who will be the must-buy for Game Week 6? I mean, I'd probably give it some thought first. I want to see what happens this week, but off the top of my head, in Game Week 6, I think an Alvarez or Foden look really promising. By the way, thank you, Sophia, for becoming a differential. You got that lovely star on your name, as an FPL high scorer would do, so thank you for becoming a differential. I appreciate it. And as you can see, the green arrows, hopefully we both get them this week, but I appreciate that. And Sock LH says, don't change the name. Yeah, at the moment, I'm not changing it. I was considering it, but yeah, I'm not really feeling it, to be honest. Sanji says, first do this, then we'll do countries for someone else. Okay, fair enough. We'll do that then. We'll do this quickly, then I'll go for my score predictions, and then maybe we'll go for the countries thing. So let me just set up a timer. Let's put a 1 hour timer now. Let's put 1 minute. Or stopwatch. Maybe a stopwatch is better. Really? Well, that's just complicated. I'm a bit dumb. So yeah, we'll do a stopwatch. So Erling Haaland, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Ready? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a bit weird that I'm saying the timer, but let's go. Okay, I'm starting it now. So E, eggplant, R, rice, L, love, if that counts, I, ice, N, Nigeria, G, goals, H, oh my God, why am I bugging out a H? Jesus Christ. Let's go for Honduras, A, alphabet, other A, I was going to say something so stupid. I'm not going to say that. Arsenal. Yeah, you probably told what I was going to say that. L. Los. A again. Jesus, A's. Amsterdam. N. Nicaragua. And D. Denzel Washington. If not, I'll go another D. D. Denzel Dumfries. I don't know why I'm saying that. Denzel Washington and Denzel Dumfries. Well, I had like literally 3 seconds left after pausing it just now. Does that count? Let me know. Maybe you're going to be like, no, Dylan, no, you're naming people. Yeah, let me know. Went for Song Captain. Hopefully it pays off. Good luck, Alex. Yeah, good luck to you as well. Let's wait and see. I think Son will do well this week. Maybe not a hat-trick, but I say 1 or 2 goals. Yeah, we're going to go through that now. Some interesting predictions there. Twisted, I'm trying to see if you've got any kind of, you know, shock predictions. You've got 3-2 Brighton. I wouldn't say that's a shock, but yeah, I still think United are slight favourites, maybe. All right, so let's go through predictions then. I don't know why I get nervous, by the way, with the names. It's like I'm so eager to prove myself, and then I get a mental block and I just panic. But don't worry, I'll do well next time. Wolves, Liverpool, I'm going to go for probably 3-1. Yeah, I agree. Something like that. Villa versus Palace, I think it could be low scoring. I'm going to go for 2-1 Villa. Fulham versus Luton. Ooh, that's a good one. Fulham Luton. Yeah, 2-0. I'm not copying, I promise. Man United Brighton. I'm going to go for a Man United win. Just about. I'm going to go for 3-2 Man United. Spurs versus Sheffield United. I'm going to go for 3-0 Spurs. West Ham Man City. 2-0 Man City. Newcastle Brentford. 2-1 Newcastle. Bournemouth Chelsea 1-1. Everton Arsenal. I'm not going to lie, I was going to say 1-0 Everton or 2-1 Everton, but I'm going to back Arsenal. 3-1 Arsenal. I had a dream as well that Arsenal won 3-1. And I also had a dream that Man City won 7-1, but I don't think will happen this week. Maybe against Fenerbahce in the Champions League. And as for Nottingham Forest Burnley, I'm going to go for 3-1 Forest. Yeah, so those are my predictions, kind of off the cuff. Not really too much thought into it. Yeah, so... Okay, Sanji says, don't say people and countries, man. Anyways, nice try. Okay, so wait, so you're talking about like objects or food. Is that it? Okay, fair enough. You missed Apple and so many A's. Yeah, Apple, and it could mean the phone or whatever. Yeah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. So Sanjay doesn't like that. Okay, let's do countries then, okay? Because normally, I'm being honest, I actually have a decent knowledge on countries and flags and names at least. But yeah, let's see how I do next time. Twisted Parky, clean sheet for Arsenal. I'd love it, but I'm not so sure. Hopefully. Safar says, big up Dylan, thank you. Would tagging FPL in videos and live streams? I actually do put the tag FPL in the description, and that puts it in the title, I believe. And I also have FPL in the description, in the title, in obviously the thumbnail, so that all helps. But yeah, of course, it's such a competitive sphere, I'd say. UCL Fantasy maybe a bit calmer. I was also one of the first to do UCL Fantasy content, probably the first to do live streams, so that's a bit different. Yeah, look at Alex laughing. I also thought of Nigeria. Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of Nigerian friends, and Nigeria always in Argentina's group, so that's why I think about them so much. But yeah, as you say, I don't know why I missed Apple. Anthony says Turner, Chilwell, Doggy, Vardiol, Saka, Boomer, Rashford, Madison, Foden, Jackson, and Haaland, bench, Gusto, Stupiniano, Sula. How's my team? It's looking good. Any problems per se? Your goalkeepers could be an issue. I don't know who your backup goalkeeper is, but Turner might not start this week. It could be Vlachodimos now. But yeah, your team looks pretty good. Just bear in mind, Jackson could be a sell in the weeks to come, but for now, I think it's the right call to keep him. And yeah, you've got Stupinian to start in Game Week 6, so you're in good shape, but your goalkeeper is a big concern, I think. So yeah, I'm not sure who your second goalkeeper is, but maybe consider Fleckin or Allison, maybe even Leno in the weeks to come. 8th Ballon d'Or loading, I believe so. And yeah, nice emoji there. I wonder where you got it from. But it could also be this guy, the robot. If you actually look very closely, that's Haaland with a robot Terminator eye. Macdrack says, thoughts? Turner, Chilwell, Saliba, Stupinian, Saka, Rashford, Sterling, Mbumo, Son, Captain, Jackson, Haaland. Good rank. Once again, just like I said with Anthony, your goalkeeper could be a concern, but your midfield looks solid. I wouldn't change much, if anything at all. Yeah, the Spurs assets, not really a big miss in Game Week 6 and 7 per se. But yeah, I think in the weeks to come, you could consider selling Jackson. I think Turner as well. What does the RCN stand for? Well, you could say right central midfield, but really it's just kind of like a mixture of my initials. So kind of my my surname, my second name, and stuff like that. So that's really what it is. It kind of stuck, really. And yeah, I'm quite happy with it. 2-0 Paul, says Safir. Yeah, that's also a good prediction. 2-0, 3-1. That's kind of what I've gone for. Nice predictions, not going to lie, but Chelsea. Well, you think they're going to lose or win? Let me know. Jesus, please start versus Everton. Yeah, hopefully he starts. I think what I would do if I was Arteta is start him against Everton, maybe starting Nketiah against PSV, and then start Jesus against Tottenham, but it's tricky. Dreaming about Arsenal winning against Everton. Yeah, and also City being, I don't know who it was, but they won 7-1. So watch out for that. Come on, Brighton, says Safir. Yeah, I mean, it should be a good game. That's the one I'm looking at this week. Transferred Luis Diaz out for Mbuma, was scared of a potential benching. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, Mbuma's still a good option long term, despite this fixture. What's the game? Random words for a letter in the name? Yeah, Sanji was the one who started it last week. I struggled so much for some reason with country. So I put Bruno Fernandes and said, name a country for each letter. I think I'll do it this time. You were quick with them predictions, Dylan? Yeah, because I wanted to give, natural, on-the-cuff, instant predictions. Answers in the poster for Brighton match? Yeah, potentially. And also, Brighton have AEK Athens on Thursday. That's not an easy game. Brighton are favourites in there, though. But look, I don't pay too much attention to posters because I think Gabriel was on the post a few weeks ago, didn't start for Arsenal, but it's something to consider. When you're having dreams about football results, you might need some time off, pal. Yeah, that's right. Matoma bench for Fatty would be classic FPL. It really would. Turner doesn't start. Why? Anyways, I have Ramsdale on the bench because Nottingham Forest signed Vlachodimos, and there is a report by The Athletic, who are very reliable, that Vlachodimos is already the #1 goalkeeper. So that could be a huge concern, absolutely huge. Okay, so Sanji puts, all right, countries now. Last for today, your player is Lisandro Martinez. Are you a United fan, by the way? Yeah. No repeat in the countries and set a 1-minute timer. I'll get your membership whenever I can if you do this within time. Of course, you don't need to sign up, but I appreciate that. Let me reset the timer. So can I cancel? Okay. Let me just have a quick sip of the water. All right, so 1 minute, Lisandro Martinez, let's go. L, Luxembourg. I, Iceland. S, Spain. A, Argentina. N, Nigeria. D, Denmark. R, Rwanda. O, Oman. M, Mauritius. A, Angola. R, Romania. T, Tanzania. I, Ireland. N, Nicaragua. E, Ecuador. And Z, Zimbabwe. Boom. There we go. 33 seconds left. I told you, mate. I told you. Okay? No freezing. Don't freeze. I never freeze. Sorry. That was a bit dumb. But yeah, you see, I told you I do much better. Yeah, to be fair, that probably was a bit easier. But I think the O is always the one that kind of catches you out. But Oman is the only country in the world that starts with O. So there you go. I learnt my lesson. I learnt my lesson. I put Tawani at last minute, and I couldn't bring Son to replace Mbumo. Thoughts for Tawani? Yeah, I like him a lot this week. Yeah, in terms of bringing in Son, fair enough. But Mbumo is such good quality. Yeah, you know, good value for money, so it's not too bad. Awani, not a captain for me, but he's a really solid option for his price point. Dependable, consistent, and he should do well in Game Week 5. Who do you think will be the highest scorer this game week? I mean, it's tough because always, you know, we say Haaland, Son, Salah, and it ends up being someone random like Matty Cash. But yeah, I'd say Son, Salah, Haaland will be up there. Madison too. Matty Cash for Zinchenko. Yeah, I like that. And Zinchenko's injury prone, might not start every single game. So it's not a bad shout. Start Foden, Bowen, or Mbumo. I would have started Foden. Any team news for leaks for Wolves Liverpool? Apparently Jota starts, Darwin's benched, and Gravenberch starts and makes his debut for Liverpool. MacDrax says Onana's on my bench, so if Turner doesn't play, yeah, same here. I've gone for it as well. Ideally Turner starts, but if not, I've got Onana. Start Anderson or Diaz. It would have been Diaz. Captain Son, I would have done it, but remember the deadline has passed 20 minutes ago. Yeah, the game always goes down and takes quite a while to get updated again. Can you gift or send someone memberships? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't think you can. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think you can. Maybe they will add it at some point, but as far as I'm aware, you can't do what Twitch does and also the raids. But hopefully they do it at some point. Which fixture will be a goal frenzy? I put 3-2 Man United Brighton, so I'm guessing that could be up there. Apart from that, even Fulham Luton, which I put 2-0, that could be another goal fest. I'm also looking at maybe Bournemouth Chelsea, maybe. I don't know. I put 3-1 Forest, but yeah, I'd say Man United Brighton and Fulham Luton could be the ones, oddly enough. So yeah, let's see what else we have. Chelsea versus Bournemouth could be very tight. Bournemouth at home, and they are better than Luton. Yeah, I put 1-1 in that. It should be a close game, you could say. My goalkeeper is Turner. Yeah, same here. It is a concern, but look, ultimately he is a backup. So yeah, it's not the biggest, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world if he ends up being benched by Vlaco Dimos, but you want a normal goalkeeper, a number one goalkeeper who starts every single game, who's reliable. Sanjay says, damn, come on, Dylan. Okay, yeah, okay. But you could say, you know, the cynics in you might be saying, oh, but you took a sip of water, you could have thought of things and stuff like that. But the honest truth is, after I got it wrong, I practiced. You know, I practiced a bit, with Bruno Fernandes especially, and there you go. Saw a Reddit post on Turner not starting since he became a dad. Yeah, exactly. I mentioned that earlier, and it's insane the amount of things that people look into for FPL. People tracking planes, you know, tracking, you know, births and stuff like that. It's absolutely insane. And Sock says insane. Thank you. Safar was impressed. I appreciate that. Let's go, Dylan. He's him. I'm definitely not. Trust me. If you probably put another one now, I'll probably freeze. Yeah, Dylan's been practicing, you know. W country knowledge. Yeah, I mean, I got it completely wrong last time. I couldn't even say Romania and stuff like that. But yeah, there we go. I put Nunez in my team. Mad now. I'm hearing he is injured. Well, he picked up an injury against Ecuador, a tight muscle problem, but he's fine. Klopp said it himself, but it might be enough to bench him now. You know, he's available to start and play, whatever it may be, but not to, you know, just in case, not to aggravate the injury. They start Jota, and there you go. It looks like Jota will start today. Now, spell countries of Xhaka. Oh my God, there's no country of X, is there? But H, Honduras, A, Argentina again, if not Angola or Armenia. K, that's a good one. Korea, if that counts. If not, what other K is there? Kazakhstan. And another A, even though I mentioned 3 already, I'd say Angola, if I didn't say them already. But X, is there a country of X? Maybe you caught me out there. Maybe you caught me out. Let me know if there is a country of X. Maybe I've missed one out. Obviously, with Q, there's Qatar, but X... nah, I'm not sure. Maybe I missed one, but I don't know if there's an X one. I'm a Madrid fan, by the way, but I'd support Brighton and FPL if I had to. I started FPL because the boys forced me to. Fair enough, fair enough. I actually overheard someone on the train yesterday say that, yeah, I support Brighton, but kind of a casual fan. So, twist the parky, you'll like that. You will. You just know Dylan is geography. I actually studied geography at GCSE and A level, but they don't really teach you about countries per se. Like, there's case studies. They talk about geology, of course, volcanoes and stuff like that, rivers, but... yeah, they don't really say, oh, look, here's a flag, here's the country name. I'll be honest, I just get my geography knowledge from football. Jackson hat-trick, I'd say a goal, maybe 2. I'm not sure about hat-trick, but if he does, fair play, enjoy the points. I'd say a goal. I knew I should have went for the safe option, Awani or Watkins, but underlying numbers got me. Yeah, the thing is with Watkins, he hasn't really delivered so far, but I think he will in the coming weeks. Do you think Alvarez will start today? Yes, but there is the odd chance he's benched. I mean, I use wildcard to bring Turner, but I am concerned he is benched. What I know is he'll always be in the first lineup. Yeah. That's why Areola is the standout goalkeeper despite facing Man City, but for that price, yeah, he's pretty good. I wildcarded last week and got 90 points. Good stuff. Went without Saka, Rashford, Bruno for some fun. I want to see how United do with Højlund first. Saka's fixtures are kind of hard. Over the next 3, I think Saka's fixtures are good, but they do face Spurs and Man City in the next 2 home games, which is very difficult. He tricked you. There isn't a next country. Yeah, I had a feeling there wasn't, but just in case, I went for the other ones. Hi, sorry for being late, Dylan. Good luck this game week. Yeah, no worries, mate, and hopefully you do well. Try doing countries with this old player. Wait, Jan Venegor of Hessling. What? I'll be honest, my brain's freezing there. No country starts with X and just Oman is O. Yeah, it was a trick question, Dylan. No recognized country. Yeah, just in case, because you've got the O with Oman, you've got Q with Qatar. But yeah, countries for footballer name, Wayne Rooney. Okay, do we do the timer or should I just say on the cuff? I'll do it on the cuff. W, Wakanda. I'm joking, it's not with Wakanda. W, wow, W. I'm already bugging out. W, is there a W? I have to think about that one. W. I'm probably forgetting someone so obvious, and I apologize to anyone from this country. Wow, okay, fair enough. I think there must be a country of W, but my mind's gone blank there. The rest I could probably do, yeah, but yeah, actually with W, I don't know. Should I regret captaining Salah? No, I mean, see how it happens. The only thing I'd say is early kickoff curse, but you should be fine. You should get something. Sandra is putting maybe this is not looking good. Could Haaland be benched early due to Champions League? Potentially, but they are facing Svennis Feseder as well. I think Haaland will still play 78 minutes at the very least. Well, Malik, I have featured as many questions as possible, so don't worry about it. Jota, Salah, Gakpo start. Also, Kwanzaa starts at the back. Glad he's been given a chance. He's been great recently, yeah? I think Liverpool have a decent chance of a clean sheet, to be fair, and the attack looks very solid, but no Diaz. That's a bit surprising, but did play for Colombia a few days ago against Peru, so fair enough. Wales, yeah, okay, Wales, fair enough, yeah. Sorry, apologies to the Welsh people, I'm sorry. I don't know why I always forget Wales, you know. I've been there, by the way, I've been to Wales. What other countries there apart from Wales, though? Let's think about this. I think Wales is the only country in the world with W, isn't it? Yeah, sorry to the Welsh people. I've got a Welsh name and I don't even know about them, so sorry. So let's try that again, and I'll probably make a fool of myself. Why? But yeah, so W, Wales, A, Argentina, Y, yeah. Why? Yugoslavia? That doesn't count. N, Nigeria. E, Estonia. R, Romania. O, Oman. Can't do the other O, so just Oman again. N, Nicaragua. E, Ecuador. And Y. Who are the Ys? Let me know, by the way, in the chat. Yemen. But what's the other Y? Yemen, Yugoslavia, does that count? No, it doesn't. Used to be a country. Yemen and... yeah, what's the other Y? Let me know. But yeah, thank you for correcting me, chat. I apologize. Dumbo, wow. Jesus, we went from calling me a genius to a Dumbo. Fair enough. Wait, you told someone on the train you're a Brighton fan? No, I overheard someone on the train saying they're a Brighton fan. Yeah, it's like, you're a Brighton fan, aren't you? Yeah, I don't think they watch much football. Western Samoa. Oh, fair enough. Western Samoa. Not sure if that counts, but maybe you're right. Apparently in Catalan, some countries begin with X. Yeah, I mean, in Spanish, it's just China. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, damn, that's something new. Yeah, it is. Diaz benched. I'm surprised with that. Yeah, Yemen. But what's the other one? Yugoslavia. Yeah. I'm sorry, mate. It's just the first thing that came into my mind. But yeah, I said Yemen in the end. No, there's Wakanda as well. I said that, but it doesn't count, man. It's a fictional country. No hate. Fair enough. Country of why, Dylan? Yeah, Yemen, as people have said. I said it earlier as well. But apart from that, yeah, it's just Yugoslavia, which used to exist. So yeah, I think with Q, Qatar's the only one beginning with Q. With X, there's nothing. But yeah, some interesting ones. We'll play this game more often then. So thank you, Sanjay, for starting an amazing trend, making me look like a fool from time to time. But at least it was a better showing this time round. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today. It's been a massive pleasure talking about FPL and alphabets and countries. It's been a blast. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe for new, share this video around with those that love FPL, and check the Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM. There's also a link to the Discord server, the Patreon and channel memberships. A huge shout out goes to Safir for becoming a channel member today, and also for all the super chats by Hassan, also A and B. So many people who send in super chats today. It's massively appreciated. Milner's another one. So thank you very much. There's going to be more UCL Fantasy and FPL content over the weekend and going into next week. So there's going to be a team selection video for UCL Fantasy. There's a latest draft already on the channel. If you want to see a chip strategy video, let me know. If it's not this weekend for UCL Fantasy, it will be next week. There's also going to be the deadline stream on Tuesday, and our aim is to get to 20,000 subscribers by the Tuesday deadline. Smash the like button on your way out. It'll be massively appreciated. I'll see you very soon for more FPL and UCL Fantasy content. I wish you all the best of luck for Gameweek 5.